Well, it seems as though all of the connections are hot, as Mike likes to put it. So why don't we go ahead and do this, shall we?
The original group of
Oh, that's the wrong one. That's off to a great start so far. Live on iHeartRadio and the Smoke and Mirrors Network, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we're going to talk to Jeff Mason about auto restoration training. I drove the 2023 Mazda MX-5 Miata RF Club. I'll explain what all that means coming up in the car review. Conrad has This Week in Auto History. I'll bring you the stories making automotive news headlines this week. That and more just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with the returning Mike COVID out of this world Mars. We always need more King Conrad DeLong, and we also need more Jeff Zekin.
We need everybody.
I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday. Mr. Mars, it's a pleasure to have you. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but it's good to see you again.
Well, it's glad to be seen.
Welcome home.
So how was the COVID gig?
It didn't start out bad because it was just the granddaughter had it, but then the wife got it, so it was 2 against 1. So I finally succumbed and just said, okay, I'm in.
And for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I ended up, they both got over it way ahead of me.
Yep. Didn't go to the hospital, didn't go to the doctor.
Oh, talked to the doctor several times.
You get any meds for it?
Nope. He said,
just got to run its course.
Nothing works.
Run its course, take what makes
stuff.
you feel comfortable, and get it over with.
There you go.
So drink a little brown water.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Nope, no brown water. Lots of Mucinex, lots of Advil, lots of taking naps.
Naps, yeah.
Naps are fun.
Naps
are good.
That was
good. Well, it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
I've got a big deal coming up today, and I'm all excited about it.
Oh, what you got?
Well, first of all, I'm going to go to the campus of the University of Houston later on today. My daughter and Leslie and I are going to go see the University of Houston play Southern Mississippi in volleyball.
Oh.
So, and this is a Big 12 game, so it should be really good volleyball. And I was looking at the girls on the team. Of course, all of them are 7 feet tall, and it's ought to be good.
Well, Leslie's got volleyball coaching in her past, doesn't she?
She does, and so it's all good. And of course, you know, my daughter played club ball, and she played ball in high
Club
school.
volleyball's not cheap.
No, it's not.
It's like touring.
It's an expensive sport.
It truly is. But anyway, that's coming up later on this afternoon, so looking forward to that. No car events today. I did talk to Craig Bierman, and next Sunday will be Chrome and Coffee, and he'll be there with his new McLaren.
Yeah.
He bought a McLaren.
Did he?
What did he get?
The one that's on sale.
720S?
I don't want to lie to you, but I think it's like wait just a minute. He emailed me pictures, and I will show them to you here in just a second.
McLarens are stunningly beautiful.
They are, with the scissored up doors and all that good stuff. So here is the McLaren. It's a McLaren 720S.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that gorgeous?
900 horsepower and does the quarter mile in 9 seconds. Oh my God.
A factory 9-second street car.
Chrome business has been good to Craig.
Apparently so. Well,
Either that or is he still selling Doug headers?
No, and it wasn't. No, it was not. That was Hedman headers.
Yes.
But I will tell you that he is now in the upper reaches of exotic cars.
So
that's what he's dealing back and forth. As a matter of fact, on this, there's the other car that he bought not too long ago. His daughter's currently driving it. Mm-hmm. That's the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Murcielago.
Way to go, Craig.
Was she traded a Porsche, you said, for that?
Yeah, the very
Does he
expensive.
want to adopt me?
Yeah, exactly. Don't we wish. All right. Well, glad you could join us today for today's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. So right off the bat, let's talk to Mr. Jeff Mason. He's the COO of the Piston Foundation. Scholarships for auto restoration training. And Jeff, it's great to see you, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks. Good morning, gentlemen. It's great to be with you again.
Thanks so much. So tell everybody about the Piston Foundation first, so we get all that out of the way.
Yeah. Piston Foundation is a public charity. We began just 3 years ago. Our focus is helping more young people enter the trades of the collector car industry. And so to do that, we focus on supporting education and hands-on training. So scholarships, apprenticeships, all of those basic skills that a young person needs to begin their career in auto restoration.
How do you reach out to the kids that don't know anything about you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, we focus on connecting through the schools to find those students that are already kind of expressing an interest in the program, but that the tuition cost for technical education is high. So there's always a need there. And we've got some other programs in the works to kind of reach a little further back into the high school and middle school ages, mostly centered around car events. You guys all know if you go to a car and coffee, you'll see a lot of 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. So we've got some programs in the works to kind of reach back into that age as well.
Is that all up there in the Midwest, or does it reach down here to Texas?
Those programs, so we're based out of Connecticut, so a lot of that outreach program is based there right now, but will be national. Our scholarships are national. We accept applications from students all over the country. In fact, in our 2023 applications, we had students from 37 different states.
Jeff,
So-
do you go to schools that already have an automotive program to have these students come over, or is it just any school that maybe a student expresses interest in it?
No, we focus on schools that have an established automotive program. That could be something like automotive technology, sort of that baseline kind of technical education, all the way to something more focused like an auto restoration program that you might see at Penn College or McPherson. So there's a wide range. We also have some students that are focused on particular skills who are in welding classes or fabrication classes at a local community college or a specific technical school. So it's not, our scholarships aren't always focused sort of on that broad automotive knowledge. We have some scholars this year that are focused on some very narrow topics like welding.
Who funds you?
The public. We are a public charity. We are funded entirely by donors from the car community.
Interesting. And I assume that you're doing well in that regard?
We could always do better.
Well, of course, we all could. We all have hope. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, to that end, this year we started something new, kind of a new fundraising campaign we call Cars for Piston Scholars. And we're doing this with our partners, Bring a Trailer. And we are accepting collector car donations, which we then auction through a charity auction on Bring a Trailer. And 100% of those funds from those auctions come back into our scholarship program to fund that.
Do you have any big donors, well-known donors that, guys have done well for themselves and they may have a collection of, say, 50 cars and they want to help you out?
We do have some of those donors for sure. We have not received the car donation piece is a new thing. Our last donation, the auction that we completed last month was with Adams Polishes, who you might know. Adams Polishes donated a very cool 1960s Willys wagon that we auctioned on Bring a Trailer for a really great price. And so those funds are now back into the scholarship fund to be used for the next round.
Can the kids bring a car to wherever they are, even though they're getting funds from you, and work on a restoration program?
Mom's Buick?
It's really that would depend on the school. I know certainly some of the students that we support at McPherson do that. They have their own project cars. I'm not sure if Pennsylvania Tech has that, but we don't. So we're a facilitator for the education piece. So we're not, controlling the curriculum.
Sure.
So,
And is your campus located in Stamford, Connecticut?
Well, we're not a school, so we don't have a campus. We're a public charity that funds education and is an advocate for skilled trades.
And how do you decide who's going to get money?
So the application process really focuses on uncovering, the students' interest in collector cars and being a part of learning the restoration trade. So that's our focus is mostly on the person, not on the program, meaning we're less concerned about what school they're going to and more concerned about who they are. So the application process includes, some written essays, recommendations from students or employers, a video presentation that they put together that focuses on, what their interest is, what they want to do, what's gotten them into classic cars. So
do you have like a
that's
board
how
of
we hone
directors or people that screen this stuff and say, okay, well, we're going to give them some money. I'm sorry, This one here doesn't quite cut the mustard. They need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, we've got a scholarship committee that's made up of our volunteers, led by a fellow named Kent Bain, who's our director of the academy. Kent founded a really excellent shop called Automotive Restorations, Inc. in Stratford, Connecticut. So Kent leads that group. We have several other volunteers who make up that scholarship committee, from car enthusiast collectors to people working in the industry.
So have you ever worked with Wayne Carini?
We have not worked directly with Wayne. We all know each other. I saw him at Greenwich Concours a couple months ago, and we had a nice conversation. But we don't have any programs with Wayne at the moment.
The reason that I ask, it seems to me that guys that are successful in restorations of cars, and especially Wayne comes to mind. I mean, there's several of them. The guy that runs Phantom Works Garage, for instance, they do a lot of restorations. Those are just the TV guys, but there's hundreds, if not thousands, of others around the United States that are into that sort of thing. You'd think that there would be some sort of an internship program or something that would bring on, for instance, a high schooler for a semester or 2 or 3 and work that way and help them that way.
Because there's got to be a high demand for a skilled technician in that field, whether it's the skilled technician of, like you talked about, the welder, which is kind of cross genres, from body shop to, classic cars to modern muscle and stuff. But there's got to be a real high demand for technicians that are willing to understand how to work on a carburetor, points, old drum brake, not old drum brakes, but drum brake systems and stuff. All of that older technology that, be honest with you, they don't teach a lot in the high school programs. I've been involved in some of the high school programs here in Houston.
And that's the point, too. If the student gets involved in it with the carburetor rebuilds or the welding, they can go on to teach.
Right.
They can go on to be part of that program in a different capacity as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of those skills cross a lot of other industries. So whether they stay in classic cars or not, they've learned some very marketable skills that they can take in the direction that they want. Or, there are a lot of, we know a lot of people like this. We all do, started on the shop floor, ended up owning the place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're starting their own shop. So there's a lot of entrepreneurialism that's built in to the industry. And so, that gets fostered when somebody learns these skills.
So do you have any, and I'm not talking about OE like Ford and GM, but do you have any manufacturer relationships that you've built in your program?
We don't yet. You want to help us build some?
Yeah, we could try.
Yeah. So, the thing to remember, the Piston Foundation sounds like it's been around forever, but this is literally year 3. This year was our second year of awarding scholarships. So we launched at the beginning of 2021, built for a year. In 2022, we awarded our first scholarships. This year was our second scholarship round. So we awarded 23 scholarships this year. That totals $105,000 in scholarship money going out to those students. So we're young and building those connections that we need to within the industry. That's a big focus for the coming year.
Are some of the connections with schools that do that type of instruction? You had mentioned McPherson College before. So you have relationship with specific schools that provide classic car training?
We have growing relationships with those schools. Those aren't the only types of schools that we interact with. McPherson has been one that we've had the closest relationship with. Also, a terrific school in Georgia called Lanier Technical College, which has a very excellent motorsports program. And the thing about motorsports is it dovetails really well with restoration because there's a lot of fabrication and a lot of the things that you're doing on a race car, chassis building and things like that, translate very well into restoration. So while we don't limit the schools, we will support, meaning if the school has an accredited automotive program and we have a student that we want to support that, is enrolled there, we'll do that. But certain schools draw more of the kinds of students that we're seeking to support.
Right.
And so we do have relationships with them.
Yeah, like McPherson that we keep going back to in Kansas. It's got a really big program that kind of goes the whole gamut of different things. So is it a student that comes to you and says, look, I want to apply for a scholarship because I want to go to this school?
Yes.
And then you look at that school,
Or do
if you haven't been there?
Or do the schools bring you a program that they're saying, hey, we've got openings for 17 students. Do you want to scholarship any of those?
And fill them with
we work directly with the students. There are other charities in the automotive world that kind of work at the program level. We do not. We work at the individual level. We support the individual students in their education, and then also after that, helping them find apprenticeships.
Who is the brain trust behind the Piston Foundation? Who started it? Is it you?
I was in early. It was actually started by Robert Minnick. He's the CEO and founder. Robert was a longtime automotive entrepreneur. He would describe himself as a serial entrepreneur, and just a car guy, just like many of us. And the story he would tell you is that he got sick and tired of hearing his friends say there was nobody around to work on his cars and young kids weren't interested anymore. And, he after he retired, he said, you know what, I'm finally going to do something about this and started the Piston Foundation. I joined about 6 months after launch and took on some growing roles on operations as well as leading the organization.
So, Jeff, what kind of car do you have?
65 Volvo Amazon. It's my rally car.
A rally car?
Daily driver?
Not a daily driver. No, hardly.
No, it is not. But it's fun to drive every day.
Yeah, I'll bet it would be, yes. Well, listen, it's great to talk to you. How can our viewers, our listeners, get in touch with the Piston Foundation?
Easy. Go to pistonfoundation.org. And you can learn about our programs. You can learn about opportunities to give to the Piston Foundation and see everything that we're doing with our recent scholarships, read interviews with our scholars, and get to know these young people that are ready to come into the industry.
Well, Jeff, it's great talking to you, and sounds like a great program, and we'd like to stay in touch with you. So please do reach out to us when you need some help or want to talk to us and get something out there, and maybe we can get a hold of some kids that are interested in the sport of auto restoration and get them hooked up with you.
That would be great. We would certainly appreciate that. In fact, that's the one thing that everybody anywhere can do. If you know a young student who has an interest, a young car enthusiast who's considering an automotive career, send them to pistonfoundation.org, and they can explore our scholarship and see if that's a fit for them.
Yeah,
do you take seniors?
Yeah, I've already posted your website to our social media link. And can I also assume that you guys didn't sponsor the Piston Cup?
We did not.
Okay.
Well, that would be good.
Yeah, it would be. Well, Jeff, it's great to talk to you. Thanks again so much for joining us today, and best of luck to you. Best wishes up there.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Jeff Mason, COO of the Piston Foundation. Hey, and thank you for joining us today. And by the way, if you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email. The address here is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for the Cruise-In calendar.
All right.
Conrad has the Cruise-In calendar as he shuffles through his papers. Cruise-In calendar, not the events, but the Cruise-In.
So again, the Mustang Club of Houston, October 7th, is having their fall open car show at Planet Ford.
Oh, that's a car show.
In spring.
That's not a Cruise-In, is it?
Nifty 50s is tonight.
Good.
Up in the Woodlands.
Yeah.
Change pages here. The All-American Muscle Show is at Kroger on 99 at Riley Fuzzle Road up in Spring.
I love to say that name.
Yeah.
Riley Fuzzle.
Riley Fuzzle.
Put some
And
ointment
that
on
starts at 5 p.m., runs to 7 p.m., and it's pretty much classic muscle. Also tonight at 5:30 p.m. is the 409 Car Cruise at the Harbor Freight on Memorial Boulevard in Port Arthur, Texas. You know, we got to get some of that golden triangle stuff in here because
Golden something.
Yeah.
because Mars had COVID, and we need him to have something to do over there while he's
golden
having
COVID
While
drive
he's in his wheelchair rolling around trying to get well.
The Law Firm Summerfest Car Show.
Wait. The law firm Summerfest?
Summerfest,
You don't show up, they're going to sue you.
And that's at LA Fitness in Spring, and that's tonight at 6 p.m.
It's a bunch of buffed up lawyers that want to have a car show in the parking lot.
And then Trucks and Coffee is tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. at the War Memorial Drive in Houston. Trucks only cruise in, and that's free. Cars and Cocktails at Little Woodrow's.
You know, there's something just wrong with the
It
name
is,
of
yeah.
that. A cruise in that has cocktails.
Cars and
No.
Well, the you didn't want me to say the word
No.
anymore, but the Cruisers meet and greet
No, you were not going to say that
No.
word.
at the Texas First Bank in Beaumont, Texas.
Well, that's a perfect place
another
for it.
golden
There you
triangle
go.
thing.
Right.
And then finally, Tomball Local Cars Meet is at FM 2920 at the Coles in Tomball, and that's tomorrow night, 7 to 10 p.m.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Time now for this hour's car review. And I was fortunate enough to get a look at the MX-5 Miata RF Club.
Is that their track car?
Well, yes, it is. There's the Club and the Grand Touring, so they have two trim levels. Now, you'd think that the Grand Touring would be the race car. No, the Club is, and it's really not a race car per se, but it has some stuff on it, like buffed up brakes. It's got different stuff on it in that different suspension.
But it's the
add-ons.
car they make that they want you to take straight to the track. Ultimately.
I don't no.
You know, it'd be nice if we had a car review so we could cover all that.
Here's the problem with that. Because the RF is a retractable folding roof. So it's heavier than the convertible because the convertible top is a cloth top. You just plop it down and you're good to go. So it's not as heavy.
Retractable hardtop.
They do not have a roll bar. It doesn't come with a roll bar. That's an aftermarket thing. So, you know, and if you're going to race it, you got to have a roll bar. You got to have certain safety equipment mounted onto it. So, okay, did I answer that question for you?
Yes.
Okay, now can you be quiet and let me do my car review?
Yeah, why don't you do your car review, Don?
This is a two-seater
Clock's
car.
running.
So it's got 2 seats, so 2 passengers. No babies allowed.
You and Leslie.
Exterior changes from last model year, none. The regular Miata redesign was in 2016. This is the 4th generation. Exterior features, this car is small. Sharp looking, small, tiny sports car with a retractable hardtop. Long hood, short trunk or deck lid with proportionate front grille. Very short deck lid. And I point that out because, well, you'll find out in a minute. Front and rear lighting have distinctive looks and modern design. It's a clean overall design. What could use improvement? When the roof is up, the B-pillar or buttresses obstruct over-the-shoulder viewing. So there is that. Now, the interior highlights include things like a 3-gauge instrument cluster under a curved sunshade. The infotainment screen sits atop center dash, controlled by a knob on the center console. Not a big fan of that, but it works pretty good. Well-placed shifter with easy-to-use HVAC controls. Comfortable seating, believe it or not. However, for a man that's 6'1", your knees will be in the dash with the seat pushed all the way back. Just saying. Cargo trunk room, very tiny. Remember I told you about the deck lid?
Yep.
It's very
full
tiny.
of a roof.
The room, there's room in there for one overnight bag because the roof folds down into that portion of the automobile. What I liked about it, the simplicity of the interior. What could use improvement? Center console has an itty-bitty, teeny, tiny little storage compartment that you can put nothing in. The lid serves as an armrest. You can seriously, you could put nothing in it. I don't even think a pack of cigarettes would fit in it. I don't know why they even did it, but whatever. 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, non-turbocharged, non-supercharged. It's a straight 2-liter, naturally aspirated 4-cylinder.
Which has been the history of Miata.
181 horsepower. Now you say, well,
That's pretty good.
That ain't much, but the car doesn't weigh much. There's not much of a car there. 151 pound-feet of torque, 6-speed manual transmission. Yes, an automatic is available, but
Why?
what? It's a sports car. You don't have automatic transmission in there. Mileage, 26 in the city, 34 on the highway for a combined of 29. That's what it's rated. I got 33.9
Nice.
over 353.1 miles. High revving, well-sorted four-banger.
Yep.
I don't know how else to put it.
They've been building them for years.
Yeah. And they've made improvements throughout the years. Obviously, with the gas mileage on it, that's pretty awesome. What could use improvement? If I were to offer them any suggestions, it would be a turbocharged option for about maybe 210 horsepower. Give it a 20 horsepower, 30 horsepower boost. That would be, and I bet you could probably do it yourself.
Tub it out.
Probably void the warranty, but who's counting? What I liked, quick response to the ride and handling, the driver input, excellent. What could use improvement? Where's my invite to a road course event? That's all I've got to say. I mean, for a journalist...
Talk to Richard Tomlin.
Yeah.
No, it would have to be through Mazda because we have to sign a document that says, no racing.
The regular one, it says no
noisy.
track.
It has a noisy cockpit, I will say that. Base trim price $35,750. Prices tested $40,610. Base model price $38,950. Competitors, Toyota GR 86. That's GR 86 for Gazoo Racing. 28.4. Ford Mustang 2770. Yes, I had to throw it in there because there's not a whole lot of
Price-wise,
competition.
yeah.
And then the Mazda Miata MX-5 with the soft top starts at $28,000. And that's my review of the 2023 Mazda MX-5 Miata RF Club.
Good-looking little
The
car.
In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, and podcasts are at your fingertips and over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Loopy Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Loopy Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Loopy Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Loopy Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Loopy's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Loopy Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Loopy Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
It is the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
What?
Coming up, Buzz Smith on EVs and hot weather. Conrad has This Week in Auto History, and we'll get you caught up on the stories making car news this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars, back from his COVID vacation. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zeke, and I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you joined us on this hot weekend. And it just keeps on coming. Although there is some hope and change on the horizon.
Hope and change.
Because we have a front coming through.
It's going to be in the 90s.
Listen, if it goes down 1 degree, it's a cold front.
That's right.
All right? That's coming on Monday.
Hey, you know what time it is?
Howdy doody time.
It's time to catch a buzz.
It is time to catch a buzz, so why don't we do that right now? Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the evangelist, Buzz Smith. Buzz, good morning.
Good morning, Don. Hey, guys. How's it going?
He's teasing us with the wet flag.
I know. What is the wet flag? You're going to get the rain before we do, I think.
No, that's not rain. That's sweat.
those are tears of an EV owner.
That's.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. No,
It's early. It's early.
That's not why we got in touch with you, because we wanted to talk about it's a heat wave. What does the heat do to your EV?
Well, it doubles the range that you get normally.
Yeah. Minus.
Nice try.
In the minus category, I think is what you're going to say.
No, a warmer battery is a more efficient battery. So, yeah, it does increase range. Cold temperature decreases ranges on an EV.
So what does the heat do to your EV? Besides, I mean, it's got fans in it, it's got coolant in it, it's got things in it that try to keep the heat down.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have does it have a temperature gauge in it?
Well, yeah, let's have a little perspective, though. When you run the air conditioning in your big SUV, guess what? It impacts your mileage. Now, it does impact EVs more. And my car right now, which I got in early 2016, so the battery's about, let's see, I got to do some math real quick. 7.5 years old. I'm experiencing about a 30% drop from the EPA stated range. So the 30%, part of that is probably age of the battery. I may have lost around 5% of total capacity of the battery over time, but I charge mine in the heat outdoors all the time. So that's part of my issue. But hot temperatures...
Wait a minute. Well, we stop right there. Well, why is that the issue or part of the issue?
Well, I should wait until later at night to charge the battery when it's cooler, because charging the battery
creates heat.
Yeah. And so it's a good idea to charge when it's colder. I'm lazy. I have solar panels on my roof, so the electricity is free when the sun is up. So my rule of thumb is if it's in my driveway, it's plugged in.
Gotcha.
So my car is usually finished charging during the hottest parts of the day. So I'm probably much rougher on my battery than the average person.
So you had said just a few seconds ago that you've lost 5% of the performance of your battery over time.
Just because of age.
I know on my iPhone, that's something I can go in and look at is the battery's performance. Is there a way in, say, the ALDL connector in the computer built into the car to look at the battery performance level, not the charge level, but its ability to perform? Is that a measurable scale that's built into the system you can see?
It depends on the brand of the vehicle. The Nissan Leaf was really good about that. The first generation, I'm not sure about the new one, but it would actually I am sure about the new one because a friend of mine experienced this. It actually would not show it charging all the way back up again. There would be missing bars of charge when the car would come back and say it was fully charged. So you could actually see that. Now, to see it, say, in a Chevrolet vehicle, you'd have to have diagnostics run on your battery at the dealership. I don't know of any way to see it in my car other than what I'm seeing is that my range has decreased when the vehicle's fully charged. Now, part of that is my foot is on the bottom of the floorboard all the time. I love EV acceleration, so I'm much harder on range than the average EV driver who's really focused on hypermiling. I don't care about hypermiling. I care about acceleration.
Well, plus, in Texas, 105 degrees outside, your air conditioning is also creating a drain because the system's running the compressor all the time.
Yep. And up here, it was 108 yesterday. So they say it's a dry heat, but that's a load of crap. It's an oven dry heat too,
Yeah. Well, so what? Morris sends me some stuff that you might want to talk about, and I'm thinking, well, he wants to talk about it. Here's your pedestal, sir. Go for it.
Okay. Well, hot temperatures are hard on electric vehicle batteries, and that can actually shorten their driving range permanently if you don't take some precautions.
What are the precautions?
Here we go. EVs have systems to prevent this, and you can help your EV. Some of these systems are the same as they are on traditional internal combustion engines or ICE vehicles like water pumps, radiators, and fans. And Don, you touched on that just a minute ago. It is surprising for most new EV drivers to hear their vehicle make sounds even when it's turned off, and that's the EV protecting its battery. It does this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's monitoring the battery and the ambient temperature around it. So whether the car is turned on or off, if it gets too hot, it may turn on fans and or a water pump to cool the battery. It may even, in the case of my car, turn on the air conditioner because the air conditioner can cool down the battery as well. If it gets too cold in the winter, it may warm the battery using an electric heater. Now, unlike a traditional ICE vehicle, the engine or motor does not need to be running to run the water pump, fan, and heater, as they're not mechanically attached to the non-existent crankshaft because they're electric, and they don't need the engine to be running to heat up the water. They use a heater. So that's where you can help. If you have the ability to plug in your EV at home, plug it in like I do anytime it's parked. Electric fans and water pumps use electricity. The EV uses electricity to move down the road. Duh. But if your EV is plugged in, where's it going to get that electricity? Well, it's going to get it from the battery pack. In other words, you'll lose some driving range if it needs to run the heater or the air conditioner when it's just sitting on the driveway.
Now, Buzz, so Apple says if you leave your iPhone plugged in all the time on the battery, charging all the time, that you can actually decrease the life of your battery. Mm-hmm. So are you saying that since the system, cooling, heating, whatever, is actually, I guess, cycling power in and out of the battery?
Would that be preventative maintenance?
Yeah, I guess, maybe.
No, the cars actually make sure that the amperage or voltage coming into the car is within an acceptable range. So the charger on the wall and the car talk to each other. That's why an EV driver on the road doesn't have to worry if the charger is a 350 kilowatt charger or just a 50 kilowatt charger. Once these two devices talk to each other, the charger will reduce, if necessary, the rate of charge to protect the battery.
So it's kind of like the video that's out now. The car goes, "Hey, what's your name?" No, I'm sorry.
Well, actually, that's an interesting comment because when you plug your Tesla in, Tesla is able to tell who you are to charge your account for the charge. So
kind of like having an IP type address or something on that car. They know that car.
Exactly. So in the future, we're not going to have to, use a credit card or even our smartphones to pay for an electric charge when we're on the road. which makes it much more secure. You know, there's scammers out there that put card readers on gas pumps, and they get your card information. If you're using a debit card and you plug in your PIN, they've got your card number and your PIN. So it's actually more insecure to buy gasoline than it is today to buy electricity for your car.
So if I borrow your Tesla and decide I want to go to California in it, I can send all the bills to you.
Well, Tesla would send all the bills to me, and I'd come hunting for you.
So another thing you mentioned a few minutes ago was the life cycle of the battery has decreased. Now that EVs have been out for a period of time, is there a determined life cycle by brand? You know, you mentioned the Nissan Leaf. I think you drive a Chevy Bolt. Is that correct?
Volt, Victor, rather than Bolt.
Bravo. Oh, so yours is the hybrid.
Yes, mine's a plug-in electric hybrid. I am actually there's a whole bunch of new EVs coming out. My next one will be 100% EV, but I'm specifically looking at two vehicles that haven't come to the U.S. yet or gone into production yet. One of those is the Canoo lifestyle vehicle. The other one is the Volkswagen ID Buzz. I'm absolutely in love with that car. It's reminiscent of the old hippie van from the 60s that Volkswagen put out, and it will be available in the United States next year in a 3-row version. I don't care about the back seats at all. I want to go and do camping with my wife. So we are going to basically gut the back of the car and turn it into a camper. And just today, I saw this really cool kit that you can put into the car, and it gives you a raised bed platform and then these slide-out drawers to put all your camping equipment underneath that.
Your underwear.
Yeah, and if I arrive at the camping site and it's pouring down rain or it's too cold or too hot, guess what? I just camp in the car overnight, let the air conditioner run all night long, because like my Volt, in the hottest days, if I'm blasting the AC, it's only using 1/2 to 1 kilowatt kilowatt hour. So even with the little battery that's in a Volt, I can run that thing almost 36 hours before I would run out of electricity. In the new cars that have 66 kilowatt hour battery packs or larger, you could run for 4 or 5 days, the air conditioner at full blast and not have a problem.
Now, Buzz, you talked about the Volkswagen looking bus. I've seen that also on the internet. And of course the Canoo, they're both Japanese vehicles, but the Canoo, is that being built in California?
The Canoo is actually going to be manufactured at a new factory they built in Oklahoma City. I've seen videos recently of the robotics lines. They also have a smaller assembly plant in Arkansas, which is oddly right in the same hometown as Walmart. And Walmart has contracted to buy up to 10,000 of the vehicles. So, it's kind of a coincidence that they're there, I guess.
So in other words, in the near future, I can say, do you canoe? And you can say,
Canoo.
Exactly.
And then you can use the Canoo cologne.
That's what I've...
Yeah, that's the reference to that, yes, but you get a...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now there are people that are going to go, what? Canoe.
So that's where you need a 3-row in the Volkswagen. Is one for Buzz and his wife, and then a row for Cheech and another row for Chong.
That's it.
And the big bamboo.
And the big bamboo. All right, let's change directions here. Let's talk about charging stations. You know, I've been reading here the past few weeks, so since the last time that we talked to you, I think everybody and his mother is now out there building charging stations across the United States with our money. And I worry about that because you know that some of them are going to make it and some of them aren't. And what are you going to do in that case? But
well, let me stop you right there for just a second.
Yes.
Remember, and there's a great book on this, I think it's called Flattening the World. Remember when the internet was the hot thing to invest in?
Yep.
Tons of companies came online. They installed literally tens of thousands of miles of fiber optic cable because we weren't going to make it with dial-up modems. The internet would not be what it is today without all of that infrastructure being built.
Yep.
A lot of those companies went belly up. And the companies that survived turned around and bought their assets at pennies on the dollar. You and I, because we're ancient, remember long-distance phone calls being very expensive. I remember even in my professional career being in Germany and calling home, and I was only there a week, and I had $400 in phone bill when I got back because of long-distance costs. Now, I can get tech support from companies, and their tech support is located in India or wherever, and the call is dirt cheap. So yes, they're using our money to build infrastructure that will build a whole new industry for this country to all of our benefit, like the internet is today, and some detriment on the internet side. But we're building an entire new economy right now. And already we're seeing factories being built. We're seeing jobs flow into this country. And the interesting thing is, just this morning, I saw an article where Tesla is saying their charging network is going to be generating, I can't remember the exact number, but it was well over $1 billion a year in revenue. So we are building an entire new economy for this country right now. And yeah, we're all chipping in for it because we're all going to benefit.
Like beta recorders and VHS recorders, everybody wound up going to VHS, and now all of these manufacturers are going to the Tesla plug.
I read this week somewhere.
If you've looked at the different plugs, the CCS plug is incredibly large and heavy. And it's what happens when you have a committee design something.
Exactly.
Tesla was a much more elegant solution. And it just is. I mean, in this case, the right brand is going to win. I was a Sony Betamax guy. Beta was technically a superior product.
Correct, yes.
A little more expensive, so we lost. Tesla, in this case, the cars are more expensive, but Tesla won on the charging side.
I read this week somewhere that the EV craze, there's going to be up to the first 1 millionth electric vehicle will be sold very soon. And then on the next article,
in the United States, that's not worldwide. Worldwide,
right in the United States, right. But the next page on that was that Ford just lost hundreds of millions of dollars in their EV program. So there was a back and forth.
Look at how they lost that money. They're losing that money by building battery plants and building assembly factories. When you amortize that cost over 1 or 2 years of production, oh my God, we're losing so much money. But in the fact, if you don't build that stuff, you don't have the opportunity to make money in the future. So we really need to do a much deeper dive than the headlines give us.
It's almost like R&D, it just in a little bit different form, because they've got to have the factory to create the product to sell.
Yeah. And when that F-150 comes out, there's an article, I think it was on Electrek just recently. They're coming out with a black matte finished Ford F-150 Lightning that is just badass looking.
There was a guy that drove his F-150 Lightning and abandoned it on the road somewhere because he couldn't find a charger. And he went and bought another car. So I think he bought an ICE engine or something.
Yeah, I saw that. But I would have to do some more reading about that.
Cross Canada tour.
Yeah. What is that, 1 in a million?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But they made such a big deal out of it.
Well, and they because, and this is what everybody needs to get, and they did the same thing when there were Tesla car fires. Statistically speaking, gasoline cars catch fire much more often than electric vehicles do. But if you want to attract traffic to your magazine, your newspaper, or your website, a story about a gasoline car on fire is no big deal because it's much more common. I personally have seen multiple gasoline car fires in my life. One of them, while it was just sitting in the middle of the night in my neighbor's front driveway. But if a Tesla catches fire, holy cow, that's front page news, and that's right.
I got a calendar.
Advertising.
That's it. You got to have the headlines.
Yeah.
So what do you see in the near future in the electric world there, Buzz? What do you see in the electric world here in the near future?
In the near future, the big news is going to be the infrastructure rollout. Texas will, in the very near future, you'll be able to drive from El Paso to Texarkana, from Brownsville to Texline electrically. There will be places like around Big Bend that'll be a little more difficult for a while. There's a lot of hype around what's called V2X, so vehicle to grid, vehicle to house, and even vehicle to vehicle. Believe it or not, Kia and Hyundai vehicles, if they have a friend that runs out of electricity, they can pull up in their vehicle, plug the cars into each other, and charge that stranded car. So I
basically
think that,
jumpstart it.
Pardon me?
Jumpstart it, like you would jumpstart an ICE engine.
Sort of, but but it's much more energy being transferred.
I understand, but yeah.
Now, the hype around that, I think, is a little overhyped, and there are some people that are going to be disappointed. So if I want vehicle to grid, I have to buy a $4,000, or even vehicle to home, a $4,000 charger instead of something that normally is $500 because it includes the gateway that disconnects my house from the grid. So when the grid's down, I don't electrocute somebody out there trying to get the grid going again.
Right.
So, and if I in Texas, I can sell my surplus electricity from my solar panels back to the grid, but I only get 3 or 4 cents per kilowatt hour. Right now in California and Texas, there are virtual power plant tests being run in a virtual power plant. And right now they're only using homes that have Tesla power walls, but you have your electricity being stored, say during night. You might have free nights and weekends. So when it's free, you fill up your Tesla power walls. And then when the grid is under stress, when there's a crisis, the price per kilowatt hour can go from where it retails in Texas at 12.2 cents all the way up to $9 a kilowatt hour. Well, I can sell my energy back to the grid. Now, they limit me to $5 a kilowatt hour, but if I can bring it in at free or 12.2 cents, and then when the grid's under strain, sell it for $5, that's a huge payback on my Tesla Powerwall. And in the future, once the OEMs get on board, our cars will be able to do the same thing. So we'll be able to participate sort of like in an energy stock market, to buy low and sell high. And at the same time, we're helping everyone else by keeping the grid going.
Thanks, ERCOT.
He is the evangelist, the evangelist.
That's him.
It's Mr. Buzz Smith. And Buzz, it's great talking to you, and thanks so much. I'm thinking professor of electrical cars right here, ladies and gentlemen. Buzz, it's great to talk to you, my friend. You take care.
Love seeing you guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, you too. All right.
Thanks, sir.
You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. I'd like to thank you for riding with us today, and we'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Okay, Conrad's got This Week in Auto History.
In 1897, my buddy, Ransom Eli Olds of Lansing, Michigan, founds the Olds Motor Works.
He and I had coffee just early on.
And which later became Oldsmobile Division until 2002 when General Motors canceled Oldsmobile. And do you know Mary Barra makes 20
Let's not get off the subject here, okay?
In 1905, Newell Wright, an attorney, filed to register the Cadillac crest as a trademark. So Cadillac has had the rights to that crest since 1905. The insignia has adorned Cadillac's luxury car for almost a century. And it's gone through some derivatives and stuff, some changes and stuff. The ducks are gone.
Darn it. I like the ducks.
In 1909, in front of some 12,000 spectators, automotive engineer Louis Schweitzer wins the 2-lap, 5-mile inaugural race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So they went twice around, and all these people came to watch.
Oh, God.
Got their money's worth. In 1937, Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, became the first school to institute graduate study courses in traffic engineering and administration.
So it's all their fault.
Yeah. Everybody talks about what a great school Harvard is. Think about that next time you're stuck in a 610 traffic in front of the Galleria. In 1950,
he's a bitter man.
In 1958, the production of the elegant Packard line came to a halt. Studebaker Packard attributed the decision to lagging luxury car sales, but many Packard fans were disgruntled by the decision, which came shortly after Packard was merged with Studebaker. And the Packard assembly plant in Detroit is still there.
The structure's still there, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just in
they actually use that
shape.
for movies.
As part of a year-long celebration of its 100th anniversary, a redesigned version of the Michelin Man, Bibendum, the corporate symbol of the world's largest tire manufacturer, makes an appearance at the Monterey Historic Automobile Races in Monterey, California. He lost a lot of weight and kind of changed his shape and become less looking like me and more svelte like our Don Armstrong here. You like that svelte?
I like it.
Okay.
That's about all I like.
Can't spell it.
And then in 2004, 83 tow trucks rolled through the streets of Wenatchee, Washington, in an event arranged by the Washington Tow Truck Association and the Guinness Book of World Records, dubbed it the world's largest parade of tow trucks. And they will be at the British car coming up when everybody shows up with their British cars.
A couple of stories I wanted to bring to you. UAW members at the Detroit 3 agreed to let the union call a strike if contract talks break down with the September 14th deadline looming. So that would mean that we are 3 weeks away. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. About 97% of workers who voted cast their ballot in favor of authorizing a strike, the UAW said Friday. The vote is a routine part of contract negotiations and does not necessarily mean a strike will occur. Oh, okay. Yes, of course it does. Nissan North America recalling 236,000 Sentra sedans in the U.S. because the tie rods can bend and break, potentially causing a loss of steering control. The recall covers Sentra compact cars from the 2020 to 2022 model years. It expands the June 21 recall that affected nearly 139 Sentras. The left and right tie rods on those vehicles might bend or deform under certain operating conditions, such as a curb impact, according to the recall report submitted last week to NHTSA. So if you drive one of those cars, you might want to call your Nissan dealer. Mm-hmm. And the nation's top auto safety agency proposed a rule Monday that would require automakers to equip vehicles with seatbelt warning systems for front and rear passenger seats in an effort to establish consistency and improve seatbelt use. NHTSA's proposed rule would amend a federal regulation for occupant crash protection known as Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard number 208, sounds like Barney Fife, which mandates visual and audible alerts to encourage seatbelt use for the driver's seat, but does not require a warning for other seating positions. All right, time now for a quick break, and we will be right back with our next guest coming up in just a couple of minutes here on the In Wheel Time radio program. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
The original group of Loopy Tortilla Restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Loopy Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Loopy Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Loopy Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Loopy Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Loopy's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Loopy Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Loopy Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants invite you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
From the Sugar Shack World Headquarters, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, we speak to the head cheese of Houston Miata Club.
Oh, boy.
I like that.
The head cheese.
The head cheese. Mm-hmm. Jeff has a segment on tires for EVs. We kind of had an EV theme going this morning.
A little bit.
But, yeah, tires for EVs. No, not the Maypops down the street at the service station. These are the real thing. Conrad has the racing calendar and the car clinic. And later, we discuss stories making automotive news headlines this week. Stay with us for hour number 2 of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this hot Saturday. It's even
toasty.
hotter tomorrow is the forecast. I would like to throw that in there.
There you
just
go.
to kind of rub it in.
Just twist the knife a little bit.
Just to make us a little extra swampy.
That's it.
Well, speak for yourself.
I do.
So, David Ainsley texted me and said, "Let me quote him here, if I may." He said,
Is it quotable?
Can you say it on the air?
Well,
Because he says a lot of things.
well, yes, he does. This I can. He says, "Radio program, bruh. Have to change your mindset."
Bruh.
And I said, "What is it then?" "Live audio and video stream." Now that sounds sexy.
Now, and where is he?
The only thing you're not is on the radio.
He should be here.
Now, you don't know that because we do stream on iHeart.
Well,
Internet radio.
And David should figure out he's in charge of all of these radio stations. He should plug us in.
Many, yeah.
I mean, it'd be better than some of the programming he runs.
I have,
Take that, Ainsley.
Touche.
I have Roku at my house, okay? So I've really never looked at the channel on Roku called Local. Oh, my God. I watched until I couldn't watch it anymore. There's no narration. There's no human talk on this, okay? It was a tight shot of a woman's head with a array of Asian food dishes. They had the microphone turned up on her, smacking and eating all of this stuff with chopsticks and a spoon. That's all. That's all there was. And you sat there and you watched the woman eating.
How long did you watch it, Don?
I thought, well, surely there's got to be more than this.
He was waiting for more to come out.
45 minutes later, and he's still hungry.
After 15 minutes, I said, I can't believe that this is actually on here. Truly amazing. So if they've got that on there,
We could provide better programming
we
than
could
that.
provide better programming.
I don't know. Maybe it's going to be close.
At least you won't still be hungry after
We
you're
can
finished.
smack.
It was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen.
Mars, don't do that.
On
Behind me,
television.
please.
I mean, I come from the Howdy Doody era. That was a lot better than this woman smacking her food.
We could watch you take a nap during the show.
She was a relatively attractive woman. I'm going, did no one teach you how to eat?
With your mouth closed, so we don't have to hear it.
No, but then you don't have a video of them.
You know what's funny is she still got him to watch for 15 minutes.
All right, moving on.
Because I couldn't believe it.
It's kind of like a car wreck. You know? Oh, my God.
Time now for our next guest, and his name is Freddie Riggs. He's the president. His name is Freddie Riggs, and he's the president of the Houston Miata Club. Sorry to have to put you through that, Freddie. We didn't mean it. Are you there?
Working my way through my first Diet Mountain Dew and orange juice. I didn't hear much.
And he's got a sense of humor, too. I like it. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're doing great. Obviously, you are a sporty kind of guy and like to actually enjoy your car, which a lot of people don't really. They just use it for a mode of transportation and don't have fun with it. But if you've got a Miata, you, sir, are a car guy.
I would tend to agree with that. you got a few folks that are affectionately known as the wine and cheesers, which means they want to get in the car, drive somewhere nice, have a great meal, and drive home. But most of us, we want to drive our cars quite a bit.
Yeah. Do you track your car?
I autocross it on occasion. Which car? I've got.
Well, I don't know. How many do you have?
Let's define our terms here.
Yeah, it's a situation where actually my father got another one. So the one I gave him 20 years ago is going up for sale. The Miata that I typically drive is my 2000 Special Edition, and it has a turbo kit on it, roll bar, upgraded brakes and suspension. So that car autocrosses on occasion. I may take it on the track. I'm waiting for some eye surgery before I feel safe to do that. But once I've got new eyeballs, I think I will do the track day this December, probably down at MSR Houston.
Great place to go on to track a car.
So I want to know more about this car with the turbocharger on it. It's funny you should say that. I just did a review on the brand new Mazda MX-5 Miata RF Club, which I'm sure that you're familiar with. And I said when it came to the engine, 181 horsepower from the factory is good. But if I were to offer Mazda any suggestions, it would be maybe perhaps offer a turbo option on the car. And here you are, you've already gone and done it.
Well, it's a much easier proposition with the older cars. Direct injection has made the new cars very difficult for certain modification. Edelbrock has a supercharger kit for those cars, but the car runs a very high compression ratio, 13-1, 14-1 in Europe. So it's forced induction's a little touchy on those engines. You so far they've not, for the most part, got it completely perfected in the turbo areas. Mazda has said no to it. They prefer the weight and balance and the horsepower to match up the way they want it to. Most of the guys with the newer cars from 2016 and up will modify the suspension and some other things. They can do an E85 tune with a header and some other modifications to bump the horsepower up, maybe 15-20%. But my car is an older car, 23 years old. It came from the factory with 140 horsepower. It makes just under 300 right now.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a handful. I'm actually in the process of putting a new ECU in it and probably going to detune it just a hair, but increase the drivability and with a nice tune, it'll run a lot better.
So what you're saying is that if I'm going to buy and really get into the whole Miata thing, then really my best bet would be to buy something like a 2015 Miata, where I'd have a lot better chance at like what you're doing.
That is a very two-sided coin, because what the new car does is the Skyactiv engines are so torquey and they have power everywhere.
Yes.
Like I said, I've been behind one on a fun run in my car. And, at that point, the car was pushing probably 240, 245 wheel horsepower, which is about 280, 290 crank. And I could barely pull up on a new car with a tune and a header running E85. I mean, he was almost as fast as I am.
Well, I will tell you, after driving this one that I didn't race it or anything like that, but I did get on the throttle some, not a lot. But, a 7,500 RPM red line on the car, and it would probably go more than that if it didn't have a rev limiter on it. But, man, it pulled all the way through the rev band once you got off the, away from the stoplight. Yeah. Once you got the RPMs up, and then the way that the transmission is set up, it's such a close ratio, 6-speed in the thing, man, it got up and it went.
Well, they've been building that car for so long, they understand what the track enthusiast wants. Not that the car is built for the track, but Mazda is very dedicated to supporting those track enthusiasts who want to drive the Miata or the MX-5, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike and I both actually have been on several of their press junkets, their reveals, and ride and drive kind of thing, and very impressive. And to talk with the engineers and the marketing people, that they're all there and they'll answer any question that you have. They are so focused on this car. They have a team of people within Mazda. That's all they do 24/7, forever, that they're always working on this Miata, fine-tuning it, doing different. Even though this particular current model year is several years old, it's got the SkyActiv technology, as Freddie said. I'm telling you, man, this thing is probably one of the, outside of the Corvette, when it comes to two-seat sports cars, this thing rocks.
Oh, yeah.
It's tiny. My problem is I'm 6'1", Freddie, and my knees hit the bottom of the dashboard. So for me, it's not all that comfortable.
Well, you're fortunate because up until 2006, the steering wheels did not tilt or telescope. You were stuck where you were stuck.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately for me, and unfortunately for people I've dated, I'm 5'6", so it's not been a problem for me.
Right.
Going back to your original question, you can modify any variety of Miata. The 1990 through 97 is an NA, 99 to 2005 is an NB. Those engines, millions of options, from turbo to supercharger, centrifugal supercharger, positive displacement supercharger, etc., etc. Same with the suspension, everything else. On the NC, which was an 06 to 15, that's a Ford 2-liter engine. But the 2.5 block swaps straight in. No hood clearance problems, nothing else. You can put in a 2.5 very inexpensively. And if you wish, intake, tune, cams if you like, or you can turbocharge it. So there are an enormous amount of engine modification options up until 2016. There are a few out there for the 16 to current car, which would include the Edelbrock supercharger, also a couple of turbo kits out there that are starting to see some leg room. But every iteration provides you with a different clean slate to work from.
Freddie, from what you were saying earlier, the later models, because of the way they perform, particularly the new ones, that, unless I'm just really looking to get serious with superchargers and turbos to take it out on the track, it's a pretty well packaged performance.
You don't even need a supercharger or a turbo to get it on the track. This car is ready to go right out of the showroom.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It sounds like it, but if you wanted to get hardcore about it, then that's when you would back up to some of these NAs and NCs.
From my experience with Freddie and his kind over there on the Mazda Miata side, that the car truly is so well. It's like the Corvette in a much smaller package, clearly. Does it have the horsepower? No, it doesn't. But remember, the car probably, I don't know how much it weighs, but it's very light compared to the Corvette.
2,320 pounds.
There you go. So it's a 1-ton car where the Corvette's much heavier than that.
Sure.
Yeah. It handles differently. It just does things differently. It's a different.
But it does it well.
Shorter wheelbase.
It does it so well. And as a matter of fact, I wrote an article in a review here just recently about it, and I said, MGB, which is the only really one that I'm familiar with, could not hold a candle to this car. Truly. And I'm sure that you've heard the same thing.
I have. And when I drove the new edition, when it came out in the end of 2015, it was so remarkably different in the fact that the chassis is so stiff. The torque is, you've got horsepower from 2,000 RPM in the current car up to 7,500. There's no dead spot. There's no waiting for power. You can short shift it or you can run it to red line. It pulls everywhere. You do a few light modifications and maybe a tune and an exhaust. You've got 200 horsepower instead of 180. And it's truly amazing. My wife and I were talking last night because I've got a couple of them in the garage and I've got my daily car, which is paid off next month. And I showed her one in Florida that I want so badly. And she goes, well, let's do it. And I was blown away. Like, you're kidding me, right? You want me to go spend $26,000 on a Miata when I've Never spent that much on a daily car, to be honest. And I've got a handful of Miatas. So we've discussed it. I don't think I'll do it, but I've got one car that's having some work on the turbo. The car up in Utah, my dad's house, is being sold. I've got another car here I bought from a doctor that I thought my wife would like, but she just can't do the stick shifting anymore with her back. So I've got to thin the herd.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would imagine you're well connected in the Mazda community and won't have any problem with that. Speaking of that, let's talk briefly about the Houston Miata Club. How many members you got in there?
We vary dues-paying members, and I mean, we're kind of like the Porsche Club. It's not cheap to get in. We're $25 a year.
Man,
what's to cover the postage stamps?
That covers our club insurance, our website maintenance, and 2 or 3 meals a year. One at the tech day, one at the track day, Christmas party.
So he's saying $25 a member, but he's got 10,000 members.
I wish. No, I don't. I don't. Actually, we range in between about 140 and 175 dues-paying members, but only about a third of them are real active.
Yeah.
They're gonna come to the monthly fun run. They're gonna come to the monthly meeting, the last Wednesday of the month dinner, and the tech day, the track day. And we have 2 nonprofit organizations that we support as well with that money. Not a lot of support, mind you, but we do contribute.
Where do you have these dinners?
The last Wednesday of the month dinner moves around town. It may be in town. It could be in Kingwood. It could be in Clear Lake. It could be in Katy. The monthly meeting now is at Jack's Grill, Shepherd and I-10.
Yep.
Second Monday of every month.
Okay. And y'all sit around and talk about, turbochargers and where you're going to go. Do you have any fun runs? What kind of good stuff you got going?
Well, we have a lingerie show, which is popular.
I'll bet that's a popular show for you.
Typically, we're going to welcome new members, let them know what we do, what's going on the next month, beg them and plead them to use the website because no one likes websites anymore. Everybody wants to just use Facebook. But the truth of the matter is we have a running calendar on the website. There are typically anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5 events a month. I don't always make the last Wednesday dinner because I like to get home and have some family time, but I make it once in a while. I make the monthly meeting. I make the monthly fun run. We're going with the Austin Club, the Tejas Club, out to Kerrville in the middle of October for the Eclipse, and we're going to run the Twisted Sisters run out there. And you got to sign up, you got to pay. Don't show up on your own. But we've got a friend of the club president out there who's got 20 acres, and she's just going to have a place for us to all park, and she's going to serve us a barbecue lunch during the Eclipse. And once the sun's back out, we're going to take off again.
Nice.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, very nice. Well, it's Mazda Club of Houston?
HoustonMiataClub.com.
Already posted it up.
Very nice.
And if I could mention 2 quick things.
Sure.
The Houston Food Bank we support, and we ask for people to support them. We try to do 2 events there a year where we do some work. Also, Camo Rescue in Magnolia, which is a nonprofit small dog rescue that does great work. I transport for them as well during the week when I've got time. But if you're looking for a pup, go to CamoRescue.com. We'll get you a great pup, and you'll take one that's been abused or off the streets, etc. We appreciate your help.
Freddie, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Stay in touch with us, and we'll talk again soon.
We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, sir. Freddie Riggs, president of the Houston Miata Club. All right. The In Wheel Time race card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production. Conrad?
Well, next weekend, NHRA is at the Big Go, and so that'll be in Indianapolis. And then on the 14th of September, they'll be at Maple Grove. NASCAR tonight, 7 p.m., the second run at Daytona. Always a good night race to watch. Formula One this weekend is at the Dutch Grand Prix. The Italian Grand Prix is next weekend. IMSA is at VIR this weekend, Virginia International Raceway, which is always good. Cool little track if you've never been there. And then IndyCars are at Gateway this weekend as well, up in the St. Louis area.
Every time I think about that Daytona nighttime race, I always think about the guy in the race car. They had a yellow flag, and he ran into the back.
Tony Stewart.
Ran into the back of the safety car.
Yeah, it was Tony Stewart.
It was Tony Stewart.
Was he texting?
He wasn't paying attention.
No, he was. I think he was. Tony Stewart has a bit of and I'm sure he would
an
agree.
Anger issue.
He has a bit of a temper.
I don't believe that. I think he was just not focused.
Well, he wasn't the only one to have hit a pace car. Dale Earnhardt Sr. on multiple occasions. You got to think these guys.
But it was probably on purpose with him.
Well, but these guys are, they're at 200 miles an hour and they're touching bumpers with another car at 200 miles an hour. So for them doing 70, 80 miles an hour, rolling up and whacking you with their front bumper really means nothing to them.
It was a truck that was up on the side. It wasn't a pace car. It was the safety truck.
Well, when he wasn't paying attention and he hit
That's what it was.
He hit the safety truck.
All right, let's move on and talk about tires, but not any tire. These are tires for EVs. Do you own an EV? Have you purchased an EV tire? Jeff has all the news.
This story actually started when I was looking at an article that EVs don't have spares. And it's obviously for safety reasons and weight reasons, and that's another story altogether. But it led me to this, because a funny thing happened on the way to the petrol-free motoring bliss. The final piece connecting the car to the road is a tire. It uses air. It needs to be replaced every so often. And the demands that a motor places on traction, load, and noise are quite unique if that motor runs silent. There's no way around it. EVs require specific tires. Tires meant for EVs are engineered to withstand the additional weight, dynamic load, and traction that the demands of an EV require. Using non-EV tires, Mike, will likely result in far more accelerated wear, heat-related issues, and the potential of wheel spin from a stop. Even with traction control, Mike, you could experience a loss of direction stability. A long, wide battery doesn't help an EV once it's moving and changing directions, and since the car is moving, the tire's dynamic load capacity must be up to the tasks. So you got that, Mike? Are you writing it down? Okay.
He's not even. He's not
I
even.
know.
He's
That's
in
what
some
I'm
other.
calling him out.
We're taking notes.
The
Jeff.
engine in an ICE car, ICE internal combustion engine, draws out some of the road noise generated by the tires, putting a huge premium on quietness from all the components, especially tires. Tires begin to produce most of the sound from an EV, both inside and out, once the vehicle is up to suburban street speeds, which, 35 miles an hour is an average. And the noise only goes up on highways. Normal vehicles have been using active and passive noise cancellation for years, but today there's a much more computer simulated software to work out the designs and the quieter tread patterns to be louder. Big challenges when engineering a tire for an EV. Most electric motors deliver enormous torque more aggressively and instantaneously than most combustion engines. They send more significant shock to the tire. This puts a much bigger requirement on the performance envelope of the tires.
It's kind of like run flats.
Yeah, and they're going to be a stiff sidewall, and absolutely. But there's also a design, Mike, of air hitting the front of the tire, the coefficients. And in this photo here, this reminds me of my old Pirelli days where they had a tire dyno. And back in 2010 when they had the new Camaro coming out, and they had the 18s, 19s, 20s, and they had the 21, which is a special option for the tire for the SS. They used to blow these things up on there purposely. They would run them until they failed.
Yep.
So electric vehicles require lower rolling resistance than a normal tire, and it maximizes the vehicle's driving range. EV manufacturers want to capture every last morsel of range that they can get. Puts a much greater importance on the energy and efficiency of the tires. Low rolling resistance is not new, but a tire on an EV, it takes up 20 to 40% of the wear, whereas on an ICE engine, it's only 15 to 20%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because of the weight.
Because of the weight and the shifting, the motions. But Mike is onto that because they're using more run flats on EVs than anything else.
Well, that and
EV's heavier.
Right.
Yeah, so we're saying, and so what we're saying is that so when you pad the throttle,
like Buzz says he likes to do,
that it really hurts those back tires. And I imagine that rotation is huge.
Rotation is important, and the average cost is about another $150 more for an EV tire per tire. And there have been EV owners that have said, after 4,000 miles, I got to replace my tires because of the way they drive the vehicle. They're thinking, like Buzz says, the hard acceleration, Mike's on-ramp acceleration test, those things wear more on an EV than it would be on a normal ICE.
Well, because, there are some that are all-wheel drive. There are others that are two-wheel drive.
Right. The increase in torque from that electric motor is just causing
You're always biting
tire
the tires,
to work harder. Yeah.
It's like a top fuel dragster.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, again, it started out being one story, led to that, so I thought that was more important because Mike's got all the EV stuff.
I'd be interested to see what the average time, if you're driving as a normal person, the tire life. What would be the normal tire life for, let's say, a Tesla that you don't go crazy with? How long would it last? 35,000?
Well, probably not. Probably less than that. Probably in the 25 to 30.
Even if you bought one of the expensive, longer mileage tires.
Right. Now, you can get brand names, and we showed some of the pictures of the brands, the Kumos, the Michelins, the Goodyears. They're all doing that R&D. Now, when I was with Pirelli, they used the R&D from the performance of the racing. And then they would institute that, which they all do now anyways, but more so with them. Goodyear's doing the airless tire. They've got the honeycombs in that, the cutaway.
It's not available yet,
No, but they're testing, and it will be soon, I'm sure. Probably within the next 5 years. They'll do tires.
But that's going to differ from manufacturer to manufacturer.
Exactly.
Heck, the tires on Angela's GLC 300 Mercedes, I ended up replacing them at 15,000 miles because they were wore out.
Well,
she's not a hot rodder.
And that goes to a point because a softer compound tire will wear quickly, and I think the softer compound was because it was more of a luxury car, smoother ride. That makes sense when you buy it. Oh, I'm going to be enjoying it. It's like a living room couch driving, but you're wearing out the tires.
And the sidewall distortion adds to the wear of the tread as well, because as the sidewall distorts, the tread hits the ground a little bit different.
And that's where they have the noise reduction, the harmonic balance, so to speak, the harmonic noise, where the tread blocks are closer in some respect and wider in some. It's to all do with noise.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
You betcha.
The In-Wheel Time Car Talk show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. And podcasts are at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk show continues right after this quick break.
The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
Live from Studio A and live audio and video streaming, according to David Ainsley. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Cy Perkins, tracked machines specifically built for EVs. Why? How do they do it? What? Because they can. There you go. Conrad's going to have the In Wheel Time Car Clinic, and I'll bring you this week's auto news. Howdy, along with Mike out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this hot Saturday. Woo-hoo. You know, I'm really, it's time for the big high pressure system and the heat to
go away,
subside. Just get us back into the 90s. That's all. Even 99. I'd be good with that. It's like a cool front blowing through.
Here's something funny. The owner came up to everyone this past week and said, "Hey, I sent everybody a link to the apparel that we use for the store. I want everybody, pick some apparel out, and so I got some shirts for winter and summer and all that. And I bought a 3-layer jacket."
Did you really?
I did.
God. Leave it to
Last
Jeffrey.
Wednesday, I bought a 3-layer jacket. This, for like Alaska,
Yeah, you go there.
dog sled rides and all that.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to stay warm.
Yeah, well, you certainly don't have that problem
No, not today.
Cy Perkins is with a company called Tracked Machines. Cy, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, it's great to have you with us, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. I know what a tracked machine is, kind of like a tank in the Army.
Right.
There are other ones, Caterpillar tractors, for instance. I mean, there's all sorts of tracked machines. Matter of fact,
Snowcats.
That's
They
right, yeah.
also make conversion kits now that you can put on the back end of your car, or the front end too, car, truck, SUV that are tracks.
They've had them for a while.
Yeah. So, but Cy's got a little different thing going on here, and Mars thought it would be fun for us to talk to you, and as opposed to me trying to explain to everybody what a Car Mover XL is, a tow track machine, explain that to us if you would, please.
Absolutely. Well, we offer two machines. One is the Car Mover. It comes in two sizes in Europe, but we're only offering one size, the XL, in the United States because of the weight. It handles the weight of the SUVs and the weight of the electric vehicles. Now, the Car Mover is basically a modified pallet jack that extends and picks a vehicle up by all four wheels. It's battery operated like a pallet jack, and you can take the EVs, the automobile dealers and auto repair facilities can easily, without any exertion, move a vehicle from inside and place it into a bay. And then you have the tow track, which is operating on a Caterpillar track system that picks up the vehicle. And we've got that in two sizes, and it comes in, you can get it into the XL into a diesel or a Vanguard or Honda gasoline engine, and it can go on any kind of terrain. It can go into 18 inches deep of water. it physically picks up a vehicle, put it onto a tow truck, strap it down, and then surgically place it. You don't need keys to the automobile. You don't have to touch the automobile except the wheels.
Uh-oh.
To place a couple of straps down. Italy, it's required to be used in 14 EU countries for EVs and in England. Now, the machines came around about 2015, 2016, and it was the European solution because European vehicles went to an aluminum alloy or a magnesium alloy like BMW for the frame. And in America, everybody relies on a wheel lift and dolly. Well, the problem is on the European cars, the frame cannot take the flex of lifting up the front. It bends and shatters the windows of the cars.
Wow.
And as technology comes, as automobile manufacturers are making things lighter, stronger with carbon fiber or the windows or the aluminum alloys and traction controls, everything is changing for technology, and what we've been used to using is becoming obsolete. For example, with the EVs, as they're throwing them out, nobody looked at the engineering. The problem is the average electric vehicle is right at 7,000 pounds. Okay, that's a lot of weight. And if you look at a Escalade, a full-size Escalade, you're right around the 5,800 to 6,000 pound range.
Oh, yeah.
The new Hummer has got a problem of registration because it's coming in at 10,400. And people are having a hard time getting them registered because it's technically a commercial vehicle. And with all the weight situation, dollies are rated at 2,500 pounds. The light duty tow trucks are being phased out, and that includes the wreckers and the wheel lift and dollies. And the problem is most of the companies can't afford the upgrade. And the Federal Motor Carrier is making a push to go to 33,000 GVW trucks. And that's getting into your industrial flatbed carriers. And the machine is the only solution because EVs have no way, except for a few Teslas, have no way to go into neutral. There's no freewheeling, so you can't even push them. Item number two is there's no connection points because of the battery packs underneath the vehicles. And C is there's no, the winch doesn't have a connection point. It doesn't go into neutral. So how do you load it up onto a carrier?
So
Oh my God! I had no clue.
I told you. So let me ask you this. So I didn't realize you can't go in neutral. The next time I get a fully electric one, I'm going to test that out. I never tried that. But so the XL,
yes,
that is like a modified pallet jack. So does it slide up underneath the tires to lift it up by them?
No,
it goes underneath. And then it's got arms that come out and grab the wheels and then lift it up.
Have you ever seen the back of a pickup truck, Mike, where they repo a car or something and they slide it in and it flexes out?
Yeah, very similar.
I wasn't thinking about that.
Pegs.
Okay.
Right. We have videos on our website at trackmachines.us, trackmachines.com. .com is Italia, the main company, and then here for North American operations, we're at .us. And you can also Google it or look for us on YouTube under Track Machines. It's one brand worldwide.
So I want to open up a chop shop, so I buy some of these and just go out and start ripping off cars.
And get electrocuted while you're cutting them.
Well, not necessarily the EVs.
You can't just buy it. The products are custom made to order depending on what area of the country you're at. What do you need? Some companies might do repossession. Some might be like if you go up north, automobile repair facilities also run towing operations off the auto repair facility license. And then depending on if you're doing more recovery work or you're doing transport towing like roadside assistance, we ask because when we say the machines are custom made for your operation, I'll give you an example. Are you more on asphalt or are you more on off-road? Because of the Caterpillar track system, the rubber tracks, You might need it more knobby, or you might need it more flat for the asphalt. You might need that comes in a couple of different size winches. Do you need to do more winching for weight? Do you understand what I mean? It's all the engineering.
Right.
Yes, these are all custom-made machines.
Yes.
Interesting.
And like I said, in law enforcement worldwide, 14 countries, like in England or Austria or Germany, if you have an EV, it breaks down. Police are required to bring out the machine. And the reason is, how often does a tow provider come out in a truck and he's got the wrong equipment for the job?
Oh, yeah. I've seen that many times.
So the machine takes care of that. No matter what the problem is, the machine just picks up. The EV can handle the weight. You pick it up, load it up, you're gone within 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm broken down on the side of the road. How do I get the machine to the side of the road out on I-10, say?
Yeah, the tow truck carries the machine. You unload the machine via remote control. The machine will pick up the vehicle, and then you load it, pick up the vehicle, and then carry it onto the truck and load the machine and the vehicle onto the truck and then drive off.
Oh, so it what is it? Is it that small that it just kind of butts up to against the front or back bumper?
On a 21-foot bed with the load, yes. The machine weighs, go ahead, 4,000 pounds, and then you got a 7,000, you're at 11,000, and then the beds are rated for 12,000, so you're well within your GVW standards.
Which is one of the reasons you got to go to the bigger trucks because of all that.
That's correct.
Conrad's got a picture from your site on here.
Yeah, I've got your website.
And, what powers that? What powers that? What size motor is on that device?
Which machine are you looking at?
I'm looking at the XL.
The TowTrack XL.
TowTrack XL.
TowTrack XL is powered by a Hyundai 3-cylinder diesel.
And if I'm looking at this correctly, the track system, the tracks,
Caterpillar track system.
Those are hydraulics. That's hydraulically driven. That's not a prop shaft driving a drive wheel.
That's correct.
That looks like it's hydraulically driven track system.
That's correct.
So what would the max speed of the tracks system be?
It comes in 2 speeds. You got to flick the button. Slow speed is 1.51 miles an hour, and then the fast speed is like 2.2 miles per hour. Now, in the engineering of the machine, people say it's awful slow. Well, if you're picking up 10,000 pounds and you do the algebra,
it's nothing fast.
That's correct, because of the weight. And what makes it so unique is when it's loading it, when it loads and unloads, it's autonomous computer controlled. That's what makes it a robot. Now, you control frontwards and backwards, but when you are loading up the machine, the computer control does not allow the machine to shift right or left. It picks up while walking underneath the vehicle.
Oh,
and for lack of a better phrase, let me call it the vehicle cartridge, that the device that actually picks the vehicle up.
Yes.
Is it aligned with the tracking system on the Trax device, or can that rotate 90 degrees to allow you to go into a parallel parked car, lift, extract the vehicle
spin it around
without having to come at it from the front?
Okay, no. It's got the front head system can pivot 45 degrees.
Okay.
You would come out at an angle, lift it up, and then bring it out. But to load it and unload it, you got to
reposition.
It's got to get parallel.
Reposition, but you've got to pick it up from either straight point or straight back. But the head does shift 45 degrees either direction.
Si, does anybody have one of these in Houston right now?
Actually, it's funny you say that. There are 2 companies in Houston right now, as of yesterday. 2 different companies are looking to buy.
Oh, okay. They're looking to buy. I like it.
Well, they've asked, they've requested proposals or quotes, and they've been in contact with financing.
Because we need it. You know, we got lots of people here in lots of different situations, but I can definitely tell you now.
One thing I want to clarify.
Yes.
This machine is been because of the EVs handles the EV problem. but the original intention and the engineers that built this was used to move disabled or salvaged cars in grassy areas, rocky areas.
Because of the tracks.
So the whole machine is technically a yard horse. It's got a boom, it's got a winch, it can pick up vehicles perpendicular from the side and move them. It can pick up an engine block and move it with the boom. It's got a 7,500-pound winch, so it can do some recoveries. The technology on it is just insane. The XL machine that you were talking about can lift a 5,500 rollback truck.
Wow.
And the problem is the rollback, the 5,500s are being phased out by the insurance industry because if you're not familiar with it, there was a big problem 2 years ago where involving a Ford Mach-E. And the Mach-E, they contacted Ford Roadside, which is operated by Ajero. Ajero sent out a tow provider to go do it. He didn't know what to do. He hooked up a Mini J to the battery rail, caused $28,000 of damage to a brand new $80,000 Ford Mach-E. And no insurance. The tow company's insurance wouldn't cover the claim. The dealership wouldn't cover it, and the automobile owner wouldn't cover it. So $28,000 was conducted through roadside assistance. And when they got the
and nobody was held accountable.
Federal Motor Carrier involved, everybody involved, they said it's an illegal act, and all bets were off. There was no insurance coverage.
Wow. If Mike wanted to buy one of these, how much would Mike have to pay for it?
Anywhere from $125,000 to $135,000 for the regular size one.
There you go, Mike.
Depending on the configuration.
And then you got to buy the truck that hauls it around.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people have medium-duty trucks like an International Ford 650 or a Hino or a Freightliner. Those will cover it.
Yeah, generally they're already going to have the truck because they're kind of in that business in some form or fashion.
That's correct.
You know, like where I found you through the website, the guys up in New York, they were working out of their auto repair shop, but this is something else they did.
Well, that's kind of misleading. They they tow for it. It looks like an auto repair shop, but they have 6 locations. They do everything at JFK Airport. They have 6 locations. They tow for the NYPD and New Jersey, New York Port Authority. So they're a lot bigger than what they seem.
They're in the business. So if they go out and spend $125,000 to $150,000 on one of these machines, it's going to fit right in with their business model.
You know where this would be good? Parking Wars.
Parking Wars. You ever watch that show?
Yes, I have.
Well, this would be perfect on Parking Wars.
Could be.
You just smile
and it would be free advertising.
Could you see Lizard Lick towing?
Or Lizard Lick
towing. Could you see Ponytail driving one of these?
Lizard Lick up in North Carolina, they turn and burn, and what they're doing isn't as complicated as it is in the metro areas that have parking garage or other areas.
Confined spaces.
This would be a perfect device inside of a parking garage because you wouldn't be able to get
parking garages or swampy, rough terrain, or if you've got a mixture of both.
Swampy.
We've got a couple of machines in North Carolina. Got a couple. We've got 28 machines in Canada right now. I think we got 21 machines in the United States, and there's a big push under the National Incident Management, which used to be the Traffic Incident Management, which is like keep the highways clear.
Safe clear.
And there's a big push to make this mandatory. We were at Grand Rapids at the National Sheriff's Association, and towing is going to change probably 200% in the next 24 months. Because the commercial transportation insurance community is starting to train law enforcement of the do's and don'ts and what tow providers can do. And it used to be if it fits, it ships, the tow, get her done. Well, now that's changing. Law enforcement through the insurance carriers are making 100% accountability. And there's another issue that's in the background that they just found out. The whole roadside assistance program has not changed, and most of the operations are in violation of law.
Oh, my God.
And what's happening is if you transport, let's say you transport freight, you got to get a bill of lading. Well, the recent court case, and it relates to the Ford Mach-E, that same bill of lading has to be given in the position of towing. And nobody's been getting that kind of accountability. You've got to have documentation. You got to have a state-issued ID. This is required under the Homeland Security Act. And all of a sudden, it's opened up a can of worms. And what's caused this to this point is all the damage claims for these new vehicles being made to the insurance carriers by the tow providers. So now the commercial insurance carriers are trying to find ways not to cover the claims. And
or not insure the vehicle.
Yeah, that's the next thing.
Yeah. I give you an example. Look at the EVs. The average repair cost of an EV is insane. The insurance, a regular towing company can't tow an EV. He's got to have an insurance addendum that allows for the EVs. EVs are regulated by the U.S. Department of Energy. It's not a vehicle. People might tell you that, but it's regulated by the Department of Energy. So your weight statistics on the side, the stickers on the car, all the information doesn't have to be correct. And then you bring in the hazardous material aspect for a thermal runaway fire that's going to last 36 hours and burn at 3,000 degrees.
Oh, that's not, yeah.
Oops. So how do you handle that problem?
Right.
Wow.
So it gets pretty complicated quick.
You know, we need to talk to you some more. We run out of time
Absolutely.
here, but we're going.
I'm available anytime you need me.
Well, we got your phone number, and you may be getting calls from a television station. You never know. But Cy, it's great to talk to you. Great information.
Absolutely.
Tracked machines. Wow. Who would have thunk
How
it?
cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna delve into this some more soon, and we really appreciate you taking the time to explain all this to us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
You got it. Oh my God!
I know,
Talk
they're
about
cool.
a can of worms. Oh my God!
We need to hook him up with Buzz.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll just get some popcorn and we'll watch.
There you go.
All right, time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. I think that
Yay.
you have something on that, do you not?
Yes, I do.
I like that because I think we're talking to air filters today.
Correct.
Okay.
You know, and air filtration's pretty important part of the car because you want to keep all that particulate matter out of the combustion chamber that's going to scratch the cylinder walls and damage the piston rings.
That is on your ICE engine.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're keeping all of that particulate matter out of the inside of the engine. So through the years, manufacturers have played around with different air filtration systems, this one being basically an oil bath air filter out of a Tri-5 Chevrolet. Very typical of that generation, that they were actually the filtration media was bathed in oil.
Right.
And then the air would pass through it. And, you know, a lot of this all depends on how much what's called media, how much surface can you get the air to pass through is how much air you can get to rush in, because if you restrict the amount of air going in, the power the engine puts out is reduced. So then they moved to a more of a round pleated filter, which is pretty common. Everybody sees that. You know, that was kind of what was on top of your Quadrajet or such. And that was, you've heard Jeff and I talk about turn the air filter upside down and listen to the roar. Very, very common for a pleated filter. And the reason they pleat it is it creates more surface for the air to pass through. But what the filter does is it traps the particulate matter as the air passes through. So, one side of the filter is going to collect dirt. The other side of the filter should be clean. Now, just taking it out on the ground and banging it to get all the dirt out of it's probably not the best thing to do, because that can affect the size, the micron size of the media itself. So now if you look at how big the micron size is of the media, a human hair is going to be 35 to 200 microns. I think 35 is a blonde, 200 is a redhead. Pollen size is somewhere between 10 and 100 microns. So you want, that can be abrasive in there as well. Spores, 10 to 35 microns. Bacteria, 0.3 to 35 microns. And the typical air filter is going to be somewhere in the 7 to 10 micron filtration area. So they're trying to catch a lot of stuff. So you need to make sure you're replacing your air filter frequently enough to get all that stuff out. So, lung damaging dust is about 0.5 to 5 microns, and smoke is generally 1/100th to 1 micron. And then the next generation of filtration that's out there, again, there's still vehicles that use the round pleated filter, and then they've gone to the cartridge filter, which is the short, stocky one. But you find a lot of cars today are going to have the square box pleated filter, which is extremely common. So how do you get more air through one without allowing more debris or contaminants to pass through it? And that's where you get the K&N filters. So what they've kind of done is they've looked back in past and added an oil coating to these filters. So as the material, the air passes through, the oil is trying to collect like a glue to stick the contaminants to the filtration device itself. So if you've got a K&N, you want to make sure you keep it clean it with soap and water, and then you want to rebathe it with the oil itself.
They actually have some cleaning spray that you put in there, let it soak, and then you wash it out.
Oil.
Yep, and then
re-oil. So again, it's still, there's maintenance required even if you have the K&N. But the K&N is going to be a 20 to 25 micron opening, so it's going to let a lot more air through. No, they're not cheap. Yeah. But it lets a lot more air flow through, and that's where the power increases come from.
I got some recalls real quickly before we have to take a break. Obstructed center high mount brake light on the Chrysler product. Jeep Wrangler 2023. Toyota Tundra and Tundra Hybrid, fuel leak from a damaged fuel tube, 22 to 23 models. Chevy Bolt, 22 to 23, front passenger airbag may deploy improperly. Also, it's a Ford F-250, 350, and 450 incorrect rearview camera image. Every Mercedes, well, not every, but 2023 model years of Mercedes, going to have to look that up because there's too many to tell you. Jeep Compass, 22 to 23 instrument panel light, not adjustable. Rear view camera image not displayed. Jeep Grand Cherokee, Wagoneer, and Grand Wagoneer, 21 to 24 models. And that's it for that segment. We got more news coming up in our next hour, so we invite you to stay tuned for that. Well, that's it for this hour of the N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We've got more coming up right after this quick break.
The original group of Lupi Tortilla Restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
From the world-famous Sugar Shack in Texas, USA, it's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Colin Weatherwax talks cars and kids. I don't think they're going to drive them. We'll find out about it.
Maybe.
We'll also have the upcoming events calendar. Mars reviews the 2024 Chevy Trax. I didn't even know they still made that thing.
Yep.
At the bottom of the hour, we talk with the managing editor at U.S. News and World Report about money to be saved at Labor Day sales events at dealerships. Plus, you'll hear the stories making automotive news headlines. Howdy, along with Mike, Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. By the way, whether you're a baseball fan or not, we're all fans of kids. We love to see kids do well. Mm-hmm. We baby them. We nurture them. We, try to get them ready to go when they're 18 years old. Well, today
and then we kick them out of the house and go live on your own.
Today at 2:30 this afternoon on ABC 13, Needville versus El Segundo for a bid to represent the nation in the Little League World Series.
Needville, Texas.
Yep.
Versus California.
Yep.
And the car community has helped the Needville baseball team because they've had a number of car shows supporting the Needville kids.
And the company
team.
I work with, Fast Signs in Rosenberg, they made banners and signage for the Needville Little League.
Cool.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. So we got kids on the mind. So let's talk to Colin Weatherwax. He is the CEO of America Can Cars for Kids.
There you go.
Colin, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Hey, well, thanks for being with us today. So tell us, first of all, what is America Can Cars for Kids?
We are a nonprofit organization. We solicit donations in order to help kids build a better future. And so I know you guys are down in Houston. We have some schools down there that we support called the Houston Can Academies. They are high school dropout prevention and recovery schools, basically giving kids a second chance to get their high school diploma and possibly a certification. So that way, once they get that diploma, they have a path to a better life.
Interesting. Well, how do you pick certain schools or organizations, and what is it that you support them with?
Absolutely. So we accept vehicle donations. So once we receive the vehicle donation, we actually turn around and sell them in auction. It's funny because today we're actually having an auction right now up in DFW. So it's going on as we speak. But then we turn around and give those funds that we raised to our partners that we support. And who are those people? We support the Texans Can Academies. They are our primary benefactor, but we've also had some partnerships with the YMCA. And we're a nationwide organization. So we also partner with nonprofits outside the state. And the only thing that we are looking for is organizations that are providing care and giving opportunities for kids to build a better future. That's our mission, and that's what we do.
And are there any kind of rules in place as to what these organizations have to follow to be part of your group?
Absolutely. So we do grants. So we expect our benefactors or our beneficiaries to submit an application for what they're going to use the funds for, and any monies generated from that state or region, we then turn around and give to those kids that need it the most. And so they have to prove that, if they say they're going to do, for instance, a YMCA type grant that I can speak about was a safety around water course. So drowning is the number two leading cause of death in infants in the nation. And so we supported a program with the YMCA that went to help these kids learn how to swim. It's a very important life skill that we all need. And so, whenever we look at, supporting organizations, supporting programs, that's what we're looking for.
How old are these kids?
Kids can range from infantry up until 21 years old. With the Texan Scan Academies, these are high school dropouts, so they're getting that second chance at their high school diploma. And just because they dropped out of high school doesn't necessarily mean they're bad kids. We have a few examples where kids dropped out of school so that way they could take care of their family, and they get that second chance to go back to school and get that high school diploma and possibly get OSHA certified or Microsoft Office certified, so that way they have a path to a better life outside of school.
Do you have people out in the field that vet these cars? How do you get somebody says, okay, I want to donate a car. I got a 1986 Rambler, for an example. There isn't such a thing, but you get my point. An 86 Rambler, and I want to donate it. It barely runs. Who is somebody coming out to pick it up? Who's going to say, okay, here we've got a car, an 86 Rambler. What do you do with it? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So we pick up vehicles in any condition, running or not. It's funny you bring up an 86 Rambler. So for a couple of examples, today we're selling a 2017 Ford Escape that was donated to us. It's got a bad transmission. And then right now we're selling a 1972 Triumph. So we see pretty much anything and everything from all walks of life, right? We send our tow service out to pick up the vehicle. We work with the donors as far as title paperwork goes to try and make sure that, if they can't find the title, we're gonna help them. We're trying to remove hassles from donors so that way they can get that vehicle off their property and they can move on with their life and know that vehicle donation is going to help support kids in their local community.
Do you ever find a vehicle that you say, ooh, I want that one, and bid on it yourself?
Myself, not yet, but we do see just about everything. Like I said, we have that Ford Escape, we have the Triumph, we've seen Bentleys, Rolls Royces, trucks.
I'm on your site right now, and there's a 2005 Hummer H2 with and its current bid's $1,800. That's a good bid on that, and some of this is marked dealer only, and the Dallas car auction. Same location that the TV show Dallas Car Sharks is filmed at?
No, not the same location.
Okay.
Not the same location. We're completely separate. But as you mentioned, there are some dealer-only vehicles. We've had some hiccups with the DMV and with the state of Texas where we've actually had to, submit a House bill to try and get the ability to sell to the public again. As you know, in Texas, theft and fraud in the temporary license plate sector is a big problem. And so one of the things that was an unintended consequence was it limited our ability to sell to the public. So right now we are dealing with some dealer-only vehicles, but we're working with the state of Texas and the DMV to try and get that wrapped up so we can raise more money for kids.
Interesting. Yeah, you got a great selection of cars, a 2004 Mercedes SL 500. There's a very good, and some motorcycles and boats.
Yeah, but you can't buy them. Only a dealer can buy them.
No, some of these are not dealer only. Some are, but not all are. So some are open, but you just have to register to bid.
There's a mixture.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, even you could get a dealer's license for auction, Conrad. You could do that. You just got to apply for it.
It's a few $100.
So if I bid on one of these, let's say I bid on the Triumph, would it be up to me to go to wherever that car is located to get it?
Yes, so the paperwork does have to be done in person. And like I said, we're in the Dallas area. We do actually have some dealers and individuals that bid weekly from the Houston area. So it's not uncommon to see people on our site from out of state or out of city and find something they like, make a trip down over the weekend, and come in, do their paperwork on Monday, and take that car back with them. So,
Colin, what is your website?
Website is carsforkids.org.
Mike just found the in-wheel time machine, the new one.
Yeah, our new mobile studio. It's a 1999 Holiday Rambler motorhome.
Green,
current bid is $200. I imagine it's going to go up from there, but that could be our
202, 205.
Our mobile studio.
We could probably go 210 on that one.
And we could park it here in Don's
Oh,
driveway.
hell no.
Yeah.
We could tow the vet behind it. That'd be great.
Hell no. What year?
Anything and everything for everyone.
What year is it?
A 1999 holiday. Well, you said Rambler, so it's a Holiday Rambler.
Holiday Rambler, yeah.
Yeah, I got one thing to say about that. Run, Forrest.
Yeah, no, I mean a wide variety of stuff.
Good mixture.
And some of it you could see is collision damage. Some of it you could see is
just age,
unmanaged. You know, the car is kind of old and funky.
Few
but
whiskey dents.
some.
Well, I
pretty
mean,
good,
it was
pretty good
given
stuff in
to
here.
you, so somebody's giving it away. So it's not going to be prime cherry material.
Well,
here
not
to begin with.
necessarily, because he said that he's got some prime material.
Yeah, Rolls Royce.
I would
Bentley,
imagine
all
that you probably get stuff from widows that they want to sell their husband's car and want to.
Here's another '92 Mercedes-Benz 500 SL black.
You need to get off
That's a
the
good-looking car.
Mercedes-Benz bandwagon.
Yeah, but that looks good.
Yeah. Well, Colin, it's great to talk to you. We wish you the best of luck. Cars for Kids, and get online and go for it.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, and I'll just end it with, remember, right off the car, not the kid.
There you go.
There you
Thank
go.
you very much. And by the way, the baseball game for the Southwest Little League World Series today, 2:30 in the afternoon. I know that you're going to be pulling for them.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. Colin Weatherwax.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. All right, time now for the events calendar, and Conrad has that.
I think you
And
said
again, this is back to where I started.
Stunned
The
him.
Mustang Club of Houston on October 7th.
That's a cruise.
No,
gonna
you
have-
started it, but I didn't.
I know. Is the fall open car show at Planet Ford in spring. October 14th is where all of these wreckers are going to show up at the All British Car Show at the Butler House in Spring, Texas.
The wreckers that are on their way out.
Yeah. In Gosling Road. Hey, this Triumph could be there, but it's going to have to show up on the back of a wrecker. October 20th, the 38th annual Wood Creek Car, Truck, and Bike Show at Wood Creek Park in Cold Spring. Also, August 12th, excuse me, that's last week. September 23rd, Lone Star Drift Round 5 at the Houston Police Academy. October 21st, Lone Star Drift Round 10, again at the Houston Police Academy. The
Go
North
burn up some tires.
Bring your Miata out. The Northside Mustang Club is having their fall open car show November 4th, and this show will be at the Bull Salas Park in New Caney, Texas. And then finally, October 28th, Oktoberfest.
Well, wait just a minute. You have missed one of the most important ones of all.
Coming up next week.
Next week.
No, well, there's that. That's a cruise in. No, Autorama. That's Thanksgiving weekend.
It's always Thanksgiving weekend.
I know, but you're into November. Why aren't you mentioning that?
Okay. Yeah. Autorama. We're going to be there. Don will have hero cards to sign.
You know, the research that's done on the
minimally
events calendar is questionable. But I'm just saying.
Okay.
No, I don't want to do. No, it's your job. I got enough to do.
I didn't go into November.
I'm trying. Huh?
I didn't go. I went into late October.
Okay.
But
2024.
Yeah, this year. All right. Let's get on with it. Mr. Mars, you need to get off the phone, Mr. Distracted Driving.
Well, I'm double checking some facts.
Okay, well, shall we pause the show for that?
Nah.
Okay, well, let's talk about the new car review of the Chevy Trax.
The 2024 Chevrolet Trax active trim level. Now, you mentioned earlier that you didn't know that they still made it. That's because they quit making this. They quit selling it in 2022, and now they've brought it back. So this is actually the second generation of this vehicle, even though technically it's all new for 2024. They kind of did the same thing with the Colorado truck. Remember, they kind of...
When I think of the Chevy Trax, I always think of the Samurai, the Samurai.
Yeah. Suzuki, the little Suzuki Samurai.
The Samurai, because it was that size.
Yeah, well, it's bigger than that now.
Kylie sat in this at the auto show and wants this. See, that was the one that we took pictures of.
Yeah, several people looked at this and really liked it.
Buy it for it.
So it actually comes, the Trax, we had the Active. It actually comes in 5 trim levels, LS, 1RS, LT, 2RS, and then the Active is the top trim level. All of them are front-wheel drive, no all-wheel drive available for this compact SUV. It's rated for 5 passengers. I would say if you're going to put 5 people in there, you best all be close friends. Otherwise, 4 people, 2 adults in the rear seat is pretty comfortable. There's shoulder room and stuff. I packed a couple of teenagers in there, and
that's where you got the COVID.
Yeah. So again, it's all redesigned for 2024 because it is a reissue, if you will, and it's actually 11 inches longer than it was whenever they quit making it in 2022. You're going to find LED lighting all the way around. This particular model trim level has the black emblems, black body side moldings, side mirror caps on it. It's got a rear spoiler. It's got a sunroof. Got 18-inch gloss black wheels that look really pretty good on it. Now, if you get to the interior, it has what they call Evotex seating material, and this is a synthetic material is what's best definition I could find. Front bucket seats are heated. The rear seats are 60/40 folding.
Got some Naugahyde in it.
Naugahyde, and there is no third row, fortunately. It does have an 8-inch driver info screen, so that's where your driver is going to get all the gauge package information type thing. There's an 11-inch diagonal center stack. Now, these two work together. Some of the controls that you want to change in your driver screen for the driver configuration, you actually have to go to the other screen to do that. I thought that was kind of weird, but it works. So all your convenience controls, your nav, your backup camera is all over here in this larger screen.
Did you like the screen thing or no?
It worked. And then there's a lot of buttons are missing in my opinion. You have to do a lot of stuff on that screen. And once I figured out that that's where the controls were, it was actually easier than trying to do it on controls on the steering wheel or little buttons someplace on the dash. So it was actually easy once you got used to it, but it's just very unusual to have to go to the center stack screen to handle the driver's screen. Has wireless charging, got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that good stuff. It does have quite a bit of room in it, 25.6 cubic feet. You know, it's hard to say, but it does have a cargo cover to keep things out of sight, out of mind. And it has some underfloor storage under there, which helps where you can put more things in it. Now, again, all the trim levels are the same mechanically. They all have a 1.2-liter inline 3-cylinder with a turbo. That's the only way you can get anything in the Trax, no matter what the trim level. 137 horsepower, 162 pound-feet of torque, backed by a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, the EPA says you should be looking for 28 in the city, 32 on the highway, combined 30. Now, I drove this vehicle 328.4 miles. Really like driving it around for a lot of reasons. The steering was very responsive. It's lightweight. It only weighs 3,000 pounds. And it's pretty easy to maneuver. So it was really kind of fun to drive, particularly around town. So I got 27 miles to the gallon combined across that 328.4 miles. Now, base model price for this vehicle, $20,400 to get into it. Base trim price for the vehicle we were driving is $23,900. As tested, the MSRP is $26,935. Now, this is the top trim level for this vehicle. Now, to compare that to something else in that segment, the Nissan Kicks hasn't got 24 pricing yet, so their 23 starts at $23,950. The Mazda CX-30, again, no 24 pricing yet. It's at 2023, starts at $22,950. But the 2024 Kia Seltos starts at $24,000, and the Kia Soul starts at $19,900. So they're all in that size segment. They're all in that price range. Some of them got a little more horsepower.
These are all entry-level cars. There's nothing wrong with that. They don't need to have a third row. Mm-mm. It's a little bit tight in the back, but it's an entry-level car.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, and that's what one of my daughters was looking at it. She's got 2 teenage girls at home, and so it's plenty big for the 3 of them. You know, even if they want to go off for the weekend, there's plenty of room to put stuff in it, and it's a reasonably priced car for a single mom. So again, it's entry-level. And it's got enough technology on it to make it work.
Thank you. Hey, if you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email. Our address here is info@inwheeltime.com.
That's it.
And be sure to follow us on Facebook if you would, please. Also, I'm
waiting.
Well, are you ready for Hemmings
I'm waiting.
Marketplace?
That's what I'm waiting. I saw you pull it out.
Hemmings Marketplace.
Yes.
Okay. I have something here that drew my attention. It's Jeff Zekin's name written all over this.
Boy, so I'm waiting.
It is a 1941 Cadillac 62D. This looks like it should have a movie star driving it.
That's why it's mine.
It sold for $72,975. Here, put that. That's your new
It's
pinup.
gorgeous, yeah.
It's your pinup
That's
this week.
gorgeous.
Okay.
Wow. Like an old
Here's
Buick.
here's another one. This won't fit in the garage though. A 1968 Cadillac DeVille. This is on the Hemmings auction site.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it sold this week for $26,355. It is a convertible, a baby blue convertible.
Elvis.
Cadillac DeVille. This is Jeff.
My dad had one with the big bumpers, and there would be marks in the wall. And when you kind of get too close, a little dent. And then I saw one on the internet the other day where the guy actually cut out the wall so he could park his car.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Blazers, old square body Blazers back from, 1970 something. 1984 Chevy Blazer that looked like $42,000 for this stupid Blazer. You kidding?
That's way too much.
Yeah, but the 72, I believe the whole back half of it comes off.
Yeah, all it had was a windshield.
This is a 1984 Blazer.
That would have been
1984.
a cab over.
It's whatever.
But still, that generation of truck is demanding insane
Very
money.
popular, yeah.
Here you go. 1969 Ford Mustang Cobra. What is your guess that went for?
Ford Mustang. Is it in good shape? I mean, does it look good?
Well, it looks that
Does it say it's
1969 Ford Mustang Cobra.
70,000.
32.
Nah, I'm going to say 59.9.
84,000.
Whoa.
84,000. Did
I'm
you
only
hear me?
going to give you 32 for it.
Yeah.
It's all I've got in my pocket,
There you
right?
go. And I don't know whether it's got a motor in it. Looks like it
Well,
does. The
see there?
1955 Chevy Bel Air sold for
17.
28.
Does it look like stock looking in the picture?
no,
No, modified. I would say 28. Yeah.
$4,900.
It's a steal.
Okay, it's a roller.
Well, and here's one that looks really good. It's not stock, but it looks really good. 1967 Chevy Camaro. What would be your guess? That's the first year of the Chevy Camaro. 1967.
60,000.
Doesn't say SS, RS, or
15
anything.
grand.
It says something, but I can't read it. But that's
Well,
beside the point.
I would go with 18 to 20.
15.
I'm thinking 6-cylinder.
60.
It's probably a V8, and it went for $26,775.
Well, it wasn't a Z28.
I'm only
That's
It
giving
might
you
be
15.
rusted all the way through at the bottom end of it. I don't
care
know.
what you want. I've got 15.
Well, you ain't getting it.
No.
A,
He's
19,
looking to buy one for his granddaughter.
a 1965 Ford Mustang.
Oh, them
No,
things,
they're
them
done.
things
That's
have
all
got,
I'd say 15.
Seven
they've got
grand.
stupid. I'm going to say 25.
7 grand.
18. This is for you, Conrad, and you would look good driving
It's
this.
an
Oldsmobile.
A 1953 Oldsmobile Rocket 98.
Yeah,
Oh,
buddy.
yeah. Boat. That's
Well,
a
you talk
boat.
about a serious boat.
They got boat numbers on the side of it.
$6,000.
19,950. 20 grand.
It's in good shape.
Yeah, it looks like it.
For
big,
that kind of money,
Big
yeah.
wide whites on it and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's all.
Put an LS in it
See
and
if
tub it out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, no.
Now you're talking.
Here's Mars' car. It's for you, Mikey.
Uh-oh.
A 1960 Ford. That's all it says. It looks like a Falcon.
Or Fairlane or something.
No,
Those
it's
were
not a
pretty-
Fairlane.
3,000.
They didn't make a Falcon in 60.
Okay. Well, it's something. They don't have it on here, but it sold for $13,000.
Pass
and
it
it's
down.
brown.
Got to be a Fairlane or
Oh,
something.
No, it's not a Fairlane.
Send that over here.
That's the Brown Water Deluxe.
That is the Brown Water Deluxe.
Oh, that is pure Falcon.
Well, it ain't a 60 because they didn't make it in 60, I
It
don't
said
believe.
64.
Well, it says 60. It's all I'm going with.
Yeah, that is pure Falcon.
Oh,
They would know it. They would know what it is at the paint house.
Look at the front end on it. That's an import. I'll bet you. I'll bet you that's Canadian.
Whatever.
Hey.
Eh?
I ran across this story this week that I had to share with you. This is from Dragzine magazine, dragzine.com. Okay, it's drag racing.
Oh, okay.
Not that kind of drag. That's the one that you'd be interested in.
You and the red pumps.
No. Okay. The aptly named street legal dragway located next to the Paris Auto Speedway Dirt Oval and on the grounds of the Southern California Fairgrounds in Riverside County features a shortened 330-foot drag strip dedicated specifically to streetcars and enthusiasts looking for a venue to safely conduct acceleration contests. Very basic track represents a lower cost entry to providing a dragway to get people off the street. Less land, infrastructure, and material and labor cost. Yet, other than the short distance, which purists will rightfully argue against, it's perfectly suited to the problem that exists in SoCal. Now, this is written by Andrew Wolf, and he's clearly out there in California.
And what was the name of the track?
The track name is Paris Auto Speedway, Perris. Okay? The facility, this size and format, isn't for the hardcore among us. But imagine, if you will, the increased likelihood of new tracks to be built around the country if the barrier to entry is lower, be it shorter, smaller, less technical, or what have you. The World Dragging Alliance, WDRA, the sanctioning body, Drag Racing Alliance that they formed, a new sanctioning group within the sport, saw an opportunity to address the illegal street racing issue head-on, partnering with this project. Morocco, the driving force behind Street Legal Dragway, added, "This idea has been years in the making. We are thrilled to receive support from the state of California and the Riverside County Sheriff to bring our vision to life."
It's East LA.
Mm-hmm. Here is the picture of it. There's nothing fancy. There's no lights. It's got walls on either side of it. But think of this, 330 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? A quarter-mile drag strip is 1320.
Right.
Okay?
It's a half an eighth. It's a 16th of a mile.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Morris. You're trying to say something.
Yes, I am. It needs a street light, red, yellow, green, and call it Red Light Raceway. I mean, 330 feet, that's just like racing off of a red light.
You know, when I think of red lights, I think of a red light district. That's what comes to my mind. So I don't think that would quite fly.
I'm not as old as you are.
When he was looking at drag
You're
scene.
not as old as I am. Give me a break.
I'm not.
Well, don't you think maybe because of insurance also?
Drivers are required to have a valid driver's license, and at least initially, trailers will not be allowed. You
No, man, that's strictly take your street race and put it over there.
I think it's a great idea.
I do too.
And go for it.
Well,
hey, it's not too far from Beaumont, California.
There's probably insurance reasons for that. There's probably safety reasons. You don't need a safety safari. Maybe that's all part of it as well, and then the rules. You never know.
Yeah, but if you're still talking about 9 and 10-second street cars that could show up out there because you could drive them out there literally.
Then we get out of first gear.
The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com, and 30-minute podcasts are at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. Invite you to listen. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Lupe Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupe Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
It is the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we look at the automotive news headlines this week, and we also, speaking of news, we're going to have with us here in just a moment from U.S. News and World Report, Mr. Jim Sharifi with the best Labor Day car deals, among other things that we can talk about, because Jim's a car guy through and through. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday. We do appreciate it. It's a good day to stay indoors and watch our show, whether it's going to be the entire 3-hour podcast, if that's what you want to do, or you wanted, 30-minute podcasts, YouTube, all of that stuff. Mars,
Twitter, Twitch, Facebook,
Spotify,
Twitch.
I think twit.com would be good.
What happens if they want to listen to it in a 4th hour? What do they have to do?
Hit Loop.
Pay us.
Code.
Yeah, just hit Loop.
Get the app.
Loop. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got an app, too. You can go to our app and iHeartRadio.
Do we have a store yet? We need merch.
Yes, go to the website.
You got
Look
some
under
merch?
Yes, we have merch. We need to buy some and hang it up in
We've
here.
got In-Wheel Time shot glasses.
Oh, yeah. We need to put that up there.
In-Wheel Time shot
Available at your
glasses.
urologist.
Oh, Lord have mercy. You know, Jim is going, dear God, what have I gotten myself
What have they
into
done to
here?
me this
No,
time?
exactly. Jim Sharifi, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Well, we're doing good. U.S. News and World Report, long in the tooth, very well-respected news organization up there. How did you get that gig is what I want to know. Everybody's after your job, brother.
Well, it was an interesting story. I was working in the service industry, and I had a friend email me out of the blue and say, how would you like to write about cars? This is about 12, 13 years ago. And I said, sure. Yeah, that sounds great. You know I can't write, right? So long story short, they brought me on as a writer and to help with a video project originally, and I sort of climbed the ranks into editor and senior editor and the managing editor position where I am now.
Well, congratulations. Nice gig if you can get it. So you've been saddled with doing a story on the car industry and sales for Labor Day, apparently.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one this year. Inventory is starting to come back. Consumer demand is strong despite financial headwinds. Interest rates are really high, but cars are selling more year over year, and incentives are a little bit better than they were a year ago too.
Well, there's some ugliness on the horizon with this impending UAW strike. And I think that they're going to say, we're done. We're all going to strike. And so here we go back with the car shortages again. And I would think that a smart shopper, somebody that is actually thinking about buying a car, I can't think of a better time to buy one than Labor Day weekend. And I'm sure that there's some incentives because, the incentives went away when cars went away during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Now that the pandemic's over with, we've got some inventory on the lot. I see that they're now having incentives, not only financing incentives, but also incentives on certain models.
Absolutely. With current new car interest rates around 7%, if you were to finance through a bank or credit union, we're not seeing as many, no interest deals as we did in years past. But we are still seeing a ton of stuff under 3% that can help someone get into a new car at an affordable price.
Well, I'll tell you, I fly on a helicopter in my full-time job, and many days I fly over the Port of Houston here, and right at the Port of Houston, they have a very large place for all of the Volkswagens that are imported down here off of the Gulf of Mexico. And the place is jam-packed with Volkswagens right now. I don't know, 3,000 cars in there at least.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I would imagine with all those cars sitting there waiting to be sold, that there are deals to be had. I don't know this for a fact at the Volkswagen dealership.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned VW specifically because they've had a big push toward electrification. And in terms of deals that we're seeing this month, from VW, if we're talking about national deals, the best one is on their subcompact SUV, the Taos, at 1.9% financing. But what's interesting is with the push to electrification for that brand, something that's helpful for a consumer to know is right now, if you're considering an EV, those vehicles are sitting on lots longer than gas-powered cars and hybrid cars. And I'm not talking about Tesla or Rivian or Lucid, the brands that don't follow a conventional dealership model. But if you're looking at something from VW or especially luxury brands like Audi, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz, I think you've got more room to wheel and deal right now because those cars aren't moving.
Oh, wow. I find it interesting. I know. And as a matter of fact, I think we read a story a couple of weeks ago about that very thing, that the inventory of EVs is up considerably. Now, you have to take it all into perspective here because we're not talking about an overwhelming bunch of them sitting on the lot and all of the ICE vehicles moving. It's not that way. But what inventory they have is not moving like they thought it would. And are you surprised by that?
I think we've still got a little way to go in terms of
acceptance,
people understanding their options in terms of charging and their ability to take road trips. I think getting past the 300-mile mark in terms of driving range is really important, and we're starting to see more manufacturers with vehicles that do that. But there's an adoption issue just in terms of understanding the product and knowing that they're going to have peace of mind and they're not going to get stranded somewhere. And I also think that, I'm outside of Washington, D.C. If you're near a major metropolitan area, you've probably got really good charging options. But if you live in the flyover states or somewhere that's a little bit more remote, it may not be as accessible for you if you need to take a long drive. So that's something people need to consider.
Well, I have to tell you that I've driven a couple of hybrids. The one that I'm currently driving is a non-plug-in hybrid. It's just a straight hybrid. And the one that I'm going to do a review on next week was a plug-in, the Toyota RAV4. Now, the actual miles that you get off of the battery are only like 40 miles. But if you are a commuter like I am, where I drive
Metro
30
area.
miles from my house to the airport every day, one way. I get to the airport, I plug it in on a 110 charger. I've got 40 miles of charge now on the car. I come home, and I gave the guy the car back, the press car, with full tank of gas. It never even got into the gas. So I'm thinking that's pretty good.
And the airport paid for your electricity.
Yes,
Well,
they
there's
did.
that, but the other thing you got to watch that, you do that, but if you do that all the time, your gas got to go old. So you got to be conscious of
Okay.
that.
All right, Mr. Party Pooper.
Well,
I know.
I'm just thinking because I've tried to convince my wife
The week's not
of
gonna
taking
go
a
bad.
hybrid, the next car that she gets, and she's got range anxiety probably
Well,
worse than you do.
There's no range
She
anxiety
has
with
bike
these because
anxiety.
you plug it in, and then when it depletes the battery, it
Fires
goes over
up and runs on the
yeah,
gas.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
it's the
you
best
could
of both
convince her
worlds.
because I haven't convinced her yet.
Well, I'm not getting into that
You
one.
convinced her to marry you.
Well,
Yeah.
that was 30 years
And
ago,
wasn't
though.
it?
All
wasn't
right,
she
all
the one
right.
that gave you COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
Easy.
Well, point taken. I'm sorry, Jim. We got a little sidetracked there.
We usually do.
That's all good, but I wanted to make a point about the gas going bad in the PHEVs, and I'm assuming this probably applies to Toyota, but I can't say with certainty. But I have a coworker who recently just bought a Grand Cherokee 4xe,
Yes.
and with that vehicle, at least, it will force you to run the gas engine if you go a certain amount of time to make sure that you're getting that fuel through the system, and that it's not going to. So you're not going to end up with bad fuel in your tank.
Circulate the fluids, keep everything going. So,
It's kind of
okay.
it's kind of like getting old. You got to get up and walk every once in a while, get the fluids, the juices
I
flowing.
could see maybe after a month you would be thinking about it, but not a week or two. The gas isn't going to.
Well, I don't know.
Come
you know,
on.
I-
no, I just don't believe it.
No.
Listen, the gas
longer
that's in here in the lawnmower gas tank back here. Listen,
Years old.
no, it's not years old, but I bought it in the spring. It's still fine. Fires right up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's your lawnmower.
Well, okay, Mr. Picky.
I take my old gas and put it in my lawnmower. Anyway,
Well, back to
We
incentives
digress
being
again.
up on EVs that are sitting on dealers' lots. I think part of the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago was the new vehicle is released and there's this rush to buy, and then the excitement wanes off and the inventory climbs and there's nobody to buy them anymore. So that's why the inventory climbs.
Well, Jim, I heard that they're having a pretty tough time over at Ford selling the Mach-E, which it kind of surprises me. I'm not exactly sure why, because it's a brand new vehicle, new architecture, new everything. And, man, all the hubbub around it when it first came out, it was like, well, they're going to sell every one that they get off the assembly line. But that's not the case.
Yeah, to y'all's point, maybe the shine wore off a little bit because it's been a year or two. So there was a big push initially, and the other thing that comes to mind when we talk about EVs is these are expensive vehicles, even with the incentive a lot of the time. You see an average new car transaction price right now that's in the high $40,000 mark, and with a Mach-E, you're talking a little bit above that. So just in terms of affordability, maybe there's an access issue there as well.
Well, I think that the infrastructure also, charging infrastructure plays a part in it as well, because it's just not quite there yet. And we're a really big metropolitan city here in Houston, as you know. And, there are places to get the thing charged up if you're out and about, but there's still always that anxiety that seems to play a part in it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that one thing that multiple automakers are doing that should really help ease that, especially in these big metropolitan areas, is the adoption of the Tesla-style charger.
Yes.
We already know Ford is doing that. And, if you've spent any time in a Tesla, whether you love them or hate them, the convenience of that supercharger network is huge. So getting EVs to a point where you have that not only convenience of easy charging, but also those multiple locations where you're able to charge at a high rate is going to be very important to adoption.
Jim, in your
More options.
Jim, in your research, did you happen to run across an easy way to shop an EV online and compare the different EVs in the category that you're looking for, whether it's price, style, whether it's a car, an SUV? Did you find it easy way to make comparisons?
Well, you're setting me up for a shameless plug. But if you go to cars.usnews.com, we have a comparison tool that you can get to from every one of our new car reviews, where you can plug in your models side by side and look at your prices and your driving range and your fuel economy and your feature set, and get an idea from different brands of how they each stack up. Because it's easy to do that on each automaker's website, but if you're looking at, a Kia EV6 versus a Tesla Model 3, it becomes a little bit more difficult.
Well, yeah, I'm a true believer in the fact that there's so many EVs out there, and the other thing is that you also have to be well aware and well versed in what incentives are being offered, if any, at the time that you're shopping and when you have the money to go and buy a car, because those incentives come and go pretty quickly.
They do. One thing we're seeing consistently that I'll say on EVs is, if you're looking for a mainstream brand, an EV from a mainstream brand, Hyundai and Kia tend to do really well with their incentives month over month, and this has been pretty consistent. So I mentioned the EV6, for example. That's a car you can get with $5,000 cash back right now, or alternatively, you can finance it at 0.9%. So they seem to be making a big push, those two automakers, in terms of market penetration and providing good incentives. They have vehicles with good driving range. And in terms of price, they're pretty competitive right now as well.
Well, and that one is also eligible, is it not, for the $7,500 tax credit from the American taxpayer?
Yep.
Well, I have to tell you,
it's not from the federal government; it's from all the other taxpayers.
Right.
Sorry.
He gets on a roll on these things.
We're going to get another complaint.
So I have to tell you that I'm driving a Hyundai Santa Fe. And it is a hybrid, non-plug-in type, and it's pretty nice. It kind of hits the sweet spot with not only with price, but size, style for a regular family of 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, and it's got a huge cargo area. I'm going to review it here in a couple of weeks, but it is really, I'm impressed, I'm not a big fan of that ginormous in-your-face grill, but besides that, that's my own personal choice. But I think, to your point, that is exactly what you're talking about, that there are vehicles out there like this Santa Fe that is a hybrid, and it runs great. I was really impressed.
They've done a really good job with the Santa Fe in my experience as well. And you're reminding me of something. I spoke to Toyota at the New York Auto Show this past year, and they said something very interesting when they were talking about hybrids and sort of comparing them to EVs. And the person from Toyota I was speaking with said, for the amount of lithium we need for a battery for one EV, we can put that into 99 Toyota Priuses. So if you think about just resources, and Prius, a great car, recently redesigned under the $30,000 mark, and always fantastic fuel economy. So if you think about your options as a consumer, and if you're not just looking to go pure EV, but you want to save fuel and you want to keep those gas prices down, hybrid is still the way to go a lot of the time.
I'm a big fan. I'm sold.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jim, it's great to talk to you. And you mentioned the website. Give us the website again for this report.
That would be cars.usnews.com.
You're the man. Hey, stay in touch. Next time you got another car article coming up, let us know, and we'll get you on. We'll talk about it.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you. Jim Sharifi. He is with U.S. News and World Report.
Good information.
It is. It's fun stuff. All right. I've got some headlines here that I want to talk to you about. U.S. auto safety regulators investigating Ford Motor Company's handling of a June 22 recall of nearly 50,000 Mustang Mach-E's after new reports of power loss. That's his Office of Defects Investigation. Now, this is not a recall yet, but they're looking at it. Received 12 consumer complaints alleging a high-voltage battery main contractor, I think they mean to say contactor failure in 2021-2022. Ford Mustang Mach-E crossovers that were included in the recall had been remedied prior to the incidents. So they fixed it once, and it's still happening.
Yep.
There have been no reports of injuries, fires, accidents, or deaths, according to the document. But you step on the accelerator pedal and ain't nothing there, you got a little problem. Hyundai ready to take the field for college football season.
It's coming up.
Which starts today.
Yeah.
South Korean automaker made a $55 million deal this month to obtain the naming rights to the Georgia Institute of Technology's field for the next 20 years.
That was made on a handshake.
It was made on a handshake, Jeffrey. The Yellow Jackets will now play in Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field, venue known as Grant Field when it opened in 1913, is the oldest on-campus stadium in the Football Bowl subdivision. The deal comes as Hyundai builds a $5.5 billion electric vehicle and battery plant near Savannah. The plant expected to open the fall of 2024 and employ about 8,100 people, about 250 miles southeast of Georgia Tech Stadium and main campus in Atlanta.
Cool.
Good reason to get that involved when you're going to employ 8,000 people.
Yeah. Sure.
I worked in Atlanta for a while when I was working for the phone company for several weeks. We went up there. The CEO of Bell South is in the building. It's up high enough. He looks directly down into that stadium.
Let's go to the game. I mean, to the office.
Exactly.
Free beer.
Free. Well, if you bring it or got it in the fridge already.
He's the boss. He should have his own.
That's right.
Yeah. Tesla's May data breach impacted more than 75,000 people, included employee-related records, and was a result of insider wrongdoing, according to a notice posted by the Office of the Maine Attorney General Friday. The people appear to be current or former employees of the Austin, Texas-based automaker. The foreign media outlet Handelsblatt informed Tesla on May 10th that it had obtained Tesla confidential information. Investigation revealed that 2 former Tesla employees misappropriated the information in violation of Tesla's IT security and data protection policies and shared it with the media outlet.
Electrocute them.
There you go.
Sounds like somebody did it on a dare. I bet you can't do that, and they probably did.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Let's see here. We already did that, so let's just move on.
Don't give me one
from
about
that.
General Motors.
No, don't do that.
You need to let go of that.
We're going to get more complaints.
Here's an interesting one. A theft of tooling from a supplier in Mexico has forced Nissan to delay the U.S. launch of the next generation kicks. Are you kidding me? That's huge.
Somebody stole the screwdrivers?
I think it's more than that. Production of the subcompact crossover in Agua Calientes, Mexico, will start next June with U.S. deliveries following shortly, according to one of the sources. The latest delay, which tacks on about 5 additional months. Do you realize what that means? That's huge, man. They got a brand new car coming out, now it's delayed by 5 months because somebody stole some stuff.
Yep.
Related to tooling that was stolen from a supplier factory in Mexico. They did not reveal the supplier's identity or say which Kicks part is affected. According to dealers who have seen the vehicle, the new Kicks is boxier, rides higher, and is more like an SUV.
Wow.
See, and I always thought tooling is that white fluffy material on a wedding dress.
Yeah, that's not it. But only you would know stuff like that.
Because I watch Project Runway.
Dear God. And you make fun of me?
More complaints. That's all.
It's a lot of complaints today. Here's one that's going to break everybody's heart. Kia America's Rio subcompact car. Kia Rio.
Yes, sir.
They ain't going to make it no more.
Oh, no.
No, nobody knew they were making it in the first place.
Pretty much. It follows the demise of its small Hyundai counterpart, the Accent, discontinued after the 2022 model year.
Rio Bravo.
Advance Auto Parts.
Oh, boy.
Trouble, buddy. They've named a new CEO and started a strategic review of the business as it struggles to keep up with inflation. That ain't all. Shane O'Kelly, the head of Home Depot Incorporated's HD supply unit, will become CEO of Advance Auto effective September 11th. The aftermarket parts retailer reported quarterly profit that missed estimates and lowered its outlook for the year. O'Kelly will replace Tom Greco. You're fired, buddy.
Spending too much money.
But he'll get a new job somewhere else.
I'm sure, making
$29 million a year.
GM eliminating more than 900 salaried jobs.
Great segue, Don.
By closing information technology facility in Arizona this fall.
Putting all those people out of work.
GM also has innovation centers in Warren, Michigan, Roswell, Georgia, and Austin. Employees at the Arizona location focus on web technologies, end-user applications, dealership and factory systems, and vehicle technology, according to the automaker, and they're going to offer them to move them to a place within General Motors.
Yeah, we're going to move you from Arizona to Michigan.
And if you can't do that, you're fired.
Perhaps.
You've been there.
Been there. Done that.
I wonder if they were located in the old Mesa Proving Grounds property.
That I can't tell you. And Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has a plan to help tackle soaring car thefts in the city. Sue the automakers. The city's filed a civil lawsuit against Kia and Hyundai for failing to include engine immobilizers on various models, causing a steep rise in vehicle thefts, reckless driving, property damage, and a wide array of related violent crimes in Chicago, according to a statement on Thursday. Hyundai said in response that it's committed to helping customers in communities affected by the theft of vehicles not equipped with push-button ignitions and engine immobilizers.
It's
engine
caused
immobilizers,
by the car.
meanwhile, are now standard on all Hyundai vehicles produced since November 2021.
Caused by the car, not by the behavior of the people.
We're going to wrap up today's Car Talk Show right after this on the In-Wheel Time Car Network. I was going to say the live audio and video stream.
That's a lot of words.
I know, but this is what Ainsley wants me to say because we're not on radio anymore. Well, it depends. If you can stream us on your car, whatever. We'll be right back.
The original group of Lupi Tortilla Restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWillTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
Well, that's it for this edition of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. And I have forgotten my little closed cheat sheet. Actually, I didn't forget it. It's in here. Here you go.
It's in a mess.
This right here, this is today's show. Can you see all of that? As I thumb through it, looking to salvage the end of the show here, but I can't find it. So you can laugh at me. But you're not. You don't even have your headset on. You need to get out of here, don't you? I can't hear you anyway, so.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference.
Are you talking to me? Huh?
You talking to me? What's your name? Tony. What's your name? Ezekiel.
Hey, Ezekiel.
Yeah, that's about as far as we can go with that. Anyway, we invite you to join us again next week at this same bat station, same bat time for the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. And I found it.
Yay.
I found the close.
And I have no time to read it.
Yeah, I know it. So remember, we're on next Saturday and every Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk.
And you won't be here.
George Skelton says, Happy International Dog Day, Suze.
There you go. All right, y'all take care. Have a safe, stay cool out there.